recording.
Well, you should intro us, I guess.
Go ahead, Danny. Plug
Alright,
yourself.
here we are for the commentary. So, Danny and Kim are here with me. This is Evan.
Hello, this is Danny.
This is Kemerton.
As you probably know, Danny was DP on the movie. Kim was producer and lead actor of Neil Henderson.
And Evan
And
was
Evan was
I didn't really do
creator.
He
No,
was
he
the,
didn't do
uh,
anything. He just created it.
I was the
Yeah.
sound
Made it
guy.
possible.
He was right to have around.
Yeah, he was
He
kind of
wasn't
funny.
like hurting the project.
He drank a lot of Coca-Cola products, though.
Not as
So
much as
did you.
Kimmer. Kimmer drank a lot
Yeah.
of Diet
Cameron
Coke.
drank
I
a
did.
lot of Diet
I
Coke
did.
on this film.
Dangerous amount.
Like,
Like
and we
a
would find
frightening
it in
amount.
random
We'd find
places.
it in places.
I
in
know.
cans.
It's like little Easter eggs you have to look for.
There's
Could
probably
always tell where Kimmer
a
did.
Diet Coke shot in there somewhere.
That was really why I did this, because I didn't have to pay for Diet Coke, and like
It's really your.
it was magical. Like every day, like it would be restocked. Like I drink probably like 17 or 18 a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was. And then
So,
you
Danny,
got,
what do you think about these shots?
I don't know. I didn't do these shots. Actually, Evan did most of the shots and composition, and I mainly just focused on lighting and sort of just supplementing Evan's atmosphere. That's really what my job ended up being more than most. So it was kind of a non-traditional DP job, but that's okay because Evan kind of had a really specific way he wanted to shoot it, so it made more sense that he like operated and conducted and composed most of the shots.
But you lit the majority of these scenes.
Well, yeah, I lit
He-
like
he did
everything.
all the lighting.
Everything that is lit by me. So if there's a good lit scene, then it's me doing that.
I think,
If it's
I
a
think
bad
the
scene,
correct term would be well lit.
well lit, good
Grammatically
quality
correct.
German lighting.
Yeah.
Well
and
painted light.
anything German.
Yeah, I use that a lot. You have a good relationship, good German relationship, German quality. Like a
I feel like
machine.
we should say something about how awesome Ben's music is right here.
Oh, it's great. Ben's music's phenomenal.
I feel like it's one of the best parts of the whole movie.
It kind of has
like
this
it. I don't know.
childish way about it. I mean, it works.
No, it's great. It's like
raw. That's what I like
it's-
about it.
It's like structured mayhem, kind of. You know, like
Like
it's
you can hear. You're sort of aware of the person playing. Like you kind of hear the room a little bit. You kind of hear him playing on the piano. I like that about it.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of like echoes and almost some dissonant moments with it too.
He bought like an old used piano just to record the song.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
jeez.
That
Weren't we trying to like hide like labels in this
Yeah, we
scene?
didn't succeed. It wasn't a big
You have
priority.
Ninja
really.
Turtles in the background.
Well, I got an endorsement deal with Coca-Cola, so
Well, actually, part of what I originally I wanted it to be visible that they were like the holiday Coke cans to sort of as a sort of a small indicator of
Gotcha.
the time of year it was.
gotcha.
But we didn't end up really being able to tell at all.
This scene ended up being. Did you cut down a lot on this scene?
I cut the scene in half.
Aha!
Yeah,
It
I
was
remember it
originally
being-
a 5-minute scene, and now it's about
Yeah.
2.5 minutes.
yeah. It was longer because I remember it was hard to eat the sandwich for so many takes, you know, because we didn't have another one. So
You just kind of.
essentially every
It's probably
bite I
the
took was
lasagna
probably
later,
like a tiny small. I
You had
baked
to
it.
make
It's actually really hard to cut together too because
Yeah,
you're never eating at the same moment that you're saying the line. So like I had to
Oh yeah.
because you don't really think about that when you're doing it, but it's
That's
like,
one-
in order to cut for the shots to be consistent on the action and not just the words.
Right. Well, a big part of that was the fact that you only had one camera to use.
Right.
You know-
Ideally, we'd have like 3 cameras on this.
Yeah, and then you'd be fine. We shot this whole film on the 7D Canon, which is a photographic, still kind of camera, but it has a motion picture setting on it.
Motion
And
picture setting.
I don't know what else to call it.
oh, it certainly worked.
But it
on
was like
Danny's,
brand new
too.
when it.
It looks like a
Yeah, I mean,
still
the
camera,
camera
so we
just-
got away with bringing it into like Bed Bath and Beyond, and
Right.
well for a little while.
It works
But,
really well for
Yeah,
a
people
Yeah,
don't
guerrilla
notice,
shoot.
right?
This is like it was kind of a relatively new product.
Yeah, it only
that
been
we're
out
using.
for 2 months.
And so this kind of shooting like this wasn't. Yeah, it was a lot
now it's
easier
like
with
widespread. Like
No.
when we were at Sundance this year, like I'd say like half the
Yeah,
stuff we
man,
saw was all
everyone's
shot on
got that
DSLR.
now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. I had to do a lot of Foley in this part.
That
wasn't actually there. That was
Oh, wow.
one of the doors in my house.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
These
it's
packages. This is me like wrestling a box in my kitchen.
like I'm working. Everyone's like, I know we got in the airport
That,
with this
that
camera.
airplane shot was actually my dad's airplane. It's not
Oh, wow.
a commercial.
This is a good shot.
Cool.
I like this. I like those circles.
Yeah.
I think, Evan, some of your best stuff is the stuff where you just ran around and found things.
Yeah.
That was a good fake vomit. I mean, like,
Oh.
no, I mean, it was though. Like, it's hard to pull off a good fake vomit. I think when you don't
You
have.
just got to do it for real. You gotta
Well,
go in
yeah.
for the real thing. You gotta,
If you're a method actor like I am,
make yourself puke.
now
Yeah,
this is where
this
the Bed Bath & Beyond people got kind of upset, and they sent that guy to
Literally
fault.
great. We just put a sticker of his dad's logo on the bottom of that box and we just left it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
That
much.
was our sneaky way of putting it in there.
Yes, we didn't have permission to be there.
It's actually really funny. The very last shot in the scene, right here, where he's picking up the bow, like a split second after I cut right here, a lady walks into the frame and tells us to leave. It was really funny to edit because I cut it right like the second before she comes in.
It was really strange because, like, weren't we all just pretending to shop there?
Yeah,
Even though
'cause we, like,
it was
dispersed.
like about 6 or 7 crew people there.
Yeah.
But we were all just pretending to shop.
Yeah, because they knew it'd be suspicious if we were all together, so we're like
We were all just
dispersed,
kind of
and we casually
walking and
pretended to be looking at
we were all
stuff.
walking in kind of circles.
It was like a giant film crew pretending
every
like
once in a
going
while
undercover.
I'd snap a shot or something. But it became really obvious, I guess. They were really suspicious.
Now he
Oh, MacGyver.
MacGyver.
Yeah, MacGyver.
He drove all the way from
He did.
Arkansas.
And he was great, but he was very strong. When he pats me on the thing in this take, he like slaps me on the back or whatever. But in one take, he where he does the punch, he knocked me into the wine like thing, and it like all wobbled. Like he almost knocked over the whole.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
He doesn't know. He's just a big bear.
He doesn't know his own strength.
Yeah. I cut this scene down too. There's a lot of excess
I'm
dialogue.
glad you didn't knock over the wine.
Me
It would
too.
have been your fault.
Well, I would have
What?
left it me.
You would have just calmly
In
walked away
retrospect,
very
that was
fast.
a really difficult scene to get the audio sound to get onto.
Oh, their air conditioner and their freezers were so loud.
Yeah.
Was I snoring?
Yeah.
We ended up with that location after we tried like 3 or 4 different
Oh
liquor
man,
stores.
yeah, that was bad.
That was the
Well,
only
we did.
that was the only location issue we had the whole time though. So that was
I bribed that one guy.
That's my
and
car.
He said he was gonna do it.
the same thing, though.
That's Kimmer's car.
Imagining hearing slowly stretching up my
I think my car's been in every movie I've made.
Yeah, it's all local stuff in our movies.
Right, well,
Everything's
first,
It's all our own. It's not
all
just
our own
local. It's
stuff.
like ours.
Yeah.
Stuff.
yeah, I don't know. I made
This
it
is
sound
my
more
apartment
official.
with all my stuff in the background. It's at
Because
my parents' house.
our other option was okay. We'll buy.
We'll have to wait for
buy
some
a car.
cars
We'll
to
buy a
park.
Honda Civic. Well, let's not do that because I have a car and it drives. Yeah.
It feels sort of it feels silly like from a production standpoint to be like, oh, let's just use the actors' cars, but it's extremely practical.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
I mean, if I airbrushed my face on the hood, which I've thought about, that would be a problem. But otherwise, it's
Yeah,
just
that would be a
generic.
giant Kimmerton smile.
Well, I didn't think that would be.
I
Well,
like
yeah.
how you're sneaking, holding that on there because it wouldn't actually stick. So
Right.
your thumb's holding it on
Yeah.
the bow.
This has happened to me before. It's
Oh,
immensely
really?
frustrating. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would be mad.
Yeah, the audience doesn't know, but this whole movie is actually based on your life. This is a true story.
Yeah.
Right.
And watching
Right.
you.
Without,
We just added a spaceship.
without the rampant drug use. We cut that out too. That's a joke, guys.
But yeah, Danny, I think you're right. The stuff where I kind of put less thought into it, the more handheld
Yeah,
stuff,
I think there's some-
has more.
There's an element of candidness to it, and also like the freedom and how you're able to. This sounds really pretentious saying it that way, but basically you were able to just find shots that I think you were more in tune with by not having to like tell yourself I'm setting up this shot.
Yeah, and I think naturally I'm more of a. That's more what my style is. More. what I
Yeah,
am
or
as a
something that's
filmmaker.
emerging that we're.
But sort of going into a feature, I felt like I had to be more prepared. So I like this shot actually had
Yeah.
a drawing of this shot. Like, and you do have those iconic shots that you have to.
Right.
Yeah.
But I felt like I did sort of force myself to.
Right, to set up sort of these
do more setup
specific
than
compositions.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're very good with handheld natural shots. And then a lot of people try to make that that look of kind of the moving cam, and they're bad at it.
There's a lot
Tripod
going on with
reflection
it.
here.
Yeah.
Nobody else will notice that, but
Well, that's a big struggle we've had is I think, or my struggle has been setting up versus finding things, and I don't know. Your specific style, I think, warrants a different approach from somebody who's lighting it and stuff.
Yeah.
I think the most successful thing, actually, where we were working together was definitely the last scene and then the party scene.
Party scene.
Like, I felt like there was sort of a unison with what we were
Yeah,
doing,
yeah. Right.
the way it ended up, and you were able to run around and it looked great.
Yeah, I
and-
feel like that's when I get the best stuff. Is when I'm actually like, the movie's just being acted out and I'm walking around shooting it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a structured.
The woman on the couch is the lovely Susan Falbaum.
That's my mom, which is
Evan
extremely
Falbaum.
awkward actually. It's like taking place in their house and she's
Oh,
the
if you
dead
look
mom
closely
in it.
in the mirror, you
It
can
took us
see
a while to
somebody.
cast that scene.
Yeah, don't look in the window.
Don't look in the window.
You won't see me.
Is that a
Yeah.
ghost? What is that?
Oh.
Oh, that's just a light. This scene was kind of strange to light, I remember.
Oh
It
yeah,
was
because Evan
it
had
was
to move around
problematic.
and show the entire scene.
Yeah, we
just
actually had to
about.
choreograph a little action.
I really
because you
only
see-
I only lit it for this first scene, and the rest of it was kind of just a byproduct that we had to live with because we didn't have enough time to tweak the rest of it. So it was
Right.
really this shot was lit well,
Yeah.
the rest of it.
But I remember the
mirrors,
with
stupid
the police
reflections.
lights. We had them like on a table closer, and then like as I was pulling back, Danny had to grab them and run them off
Oh,
frame.
that's right.
That's
So that
right.
they weren't in view in the wider
That's
shot.
right.
Yeah, it's
That was
you
really
can't even-
tricky, like...
Also, right there, he drops in a green piece of gum, but the rest of the movie, his gum is white. So that's an inconsistency I just noticed.
It's a failure.
I didn't just notice it.
Failure on your part.
Let's just do it over.
It's the little things that you pick up on when you stare at this for 12
Why are
months.
you here? Surprise. You haven't been home in
This is this is actually our first film, I think, that we've officially sort of made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
Well,
is
the
our
first
first
feature
attempt
we've
at
really
making
done.
something good,
I
right.
feel like
something
I learned
serious.
a lot.
honestly
Definitely.
not really.
Like, I feel like a lot more comfortable going into my next project because I know
Yeah.
what works best, and I know.
And the best way to learn has always been, doing little
Trial and
shorts,
error.
everything. But I think when we really tackle a feature, that's just a giant
Yeah.
step.
There's just a lot of it's like a million little subtleties that you wouldn't be able to know about until you've actually made the mistakes.
Right.
Where-
Or
I'm
something.
glad we're able to work at the kind of level that we do because I wouldn't have wanted to go into like a $5 million feature, kind of not feeling
Oh.
comfortable with my style and everything. And now, like, coming out of this, I feel like I know more about like who I am as a filmmaker, and like we were talking about the handheld stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you can never be too comfortable because then you
Right.
start stagnating. But
I just felt like I was intentionally trying to kind of go into this, trying to prove something, but I wasn't 100% what it was. And now I'm a little more comfortable knowing
He's dead. No.
knowing what I
Yeah.
can do.
And shooting, a feature,
Where's the body?
a lot of things like being around the cast and crew for such an extended period of time. Because even,
Yeah.
if you did another feature like
I just-
ourselves, it was usually like 5 days or. But this was a long time.
13.
we slept near each other.
Yeah,
I actually kind of like that
I
element
did
of it.
too. I think it.
It
I
was
think
like
it
We all stayed
translated
at
well.
the house, and we
Yeah, it was like a
Stayed
little.
together.
Yeah, this entire house is where we made the entire film, including like our quarters for sleeping and eating.
Right.
We basically lived together for what, 2 weeks?
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah. We did.
It was like summer camp, except it was Christmas time or right after Christmas or something.
yeah. Oh, before and after.
Oh,
we
before
had a
and
10-day
after.
break in
Ah.
between.
Yeah, it's definitely that feeling you have though of camp. Like you look back like camp or something.
Yeah.
It's very much that.
Well, and that's
was a
actually one of the
workshop.
elements I love about making movies is sort of these like short bursts of concentrated relationships with people that you have that you're working with.
Right, and then
You're like-
you
and
get
then
real
it's gone,
close,
then
and
it's
then
over.
yeah, it's like I haven't spoken to Steven or
Yeah.
It's like, wait, I think we're really good friends.
Right.
Maybe I should give him a call.
I remember the first movie that I like official production, The Pardon, that Danny worked on with me. It was sort of like that too. Like it's a month of like working with these people every day for like 12 to 14 hours, and then they're just gone. It's really strange.
Yeah.
And then it's also like you go through a lot of stressful situations.
Yeah.
Like
A lot of problem solving.
Yeah,
there's
Such
like-
weird problems that you never
and-
face in normal life.
right, and so much downtime too. You get
Right.
bored and you start asking them about their lives. And,
Yeah, I didn't have that luxury.
Awesome.
no, you didn't.
It's also like you're struggling together. It's like this real team effort, and then
Yeah.
the team's over.
Yeah, and I hadn't met Steven or Cindy. I'd read with them, but then when I got here, I remember for like the first day or whatever, they were they each had their script out like highlighted and everything, and they were both listening. So they had headphones, both of them, sitting at like separate ends of the room. I was like, "What are y'all doing?" And they're like, "We're rehearsing." And I was like, "What? You listen to music?" They're like, "No, we read it out loud and then play it back." And I was like, "Oh." And they're like, "Where's your script?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "I don't have one." I was gonna use like the one around here. And they're like, "How do you memorize lines?" I was like, "I just try to remember them, and sometimes I'll drink a little."
I think you did a good job, though, Cameron. I was impressed that you memorized everything really well. You pulled it off, and I think in the end, given that you're not like a professional actor or anything, I think you really did a good job here.
Well, thank you. I think also that they were really good. That helped a lot.
So this is the quilt. That quilt.
Yeah, we did a lot of work on the
handmade.
set deck for this room.
Those are Evan's T-shirts we've used
Supposed
on
to be
photos.
kind of the old clothes that you leave behind at your parents' house when you go off to
I
college.
love that old Shaq Orlando Magic jersey.
We've used that in our hip hop photo shoot.
Yep, that's right.
That was a cool shoot.
We do a lot of other projects together. Like pretty much like we're like a little artist collective group.
Yeah, one of the benefits of shooting this house, we actually had a costume closet in the garage here. Too,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Everything
stash
right
of all the
there.
Goodwill clothes and everything.
No, this was a problem, getting this thing going. It took a long time to
Yeah,
get
what
to
was-
the track.
There was like an hour or two of
Yeah.
getting water out of the.
It's actually really funny. I'm cutting together the making of, and there's a good bit of time spent with this. And like Shane's trying to
Oh, Shane wouldn't
bucket
help.
the water.
Shane
and,
wouldn't
like,
help get the or something.
I just remember I was like, it's so cold. The water's gonna be like, ridiculously cold. I just
yeah.
want to get it out of the way. And then I got my robe on, and then I come. We sit by the pool thing and
You just
open
have
it
to
for an
wait
hour.
it.
There's a point I'm like, well,
What was the sensation?
shock, instant shock. I just kept remembering say that line.
Yeah, don't forget your line.
And other than that, like, I don't know how I said it. That's all I knew. It was like needles, kind of.
Oh man. Oh, little needles all over. That's a great shot.
Great shot, yeah.
And
It's
the house lent itself well to some really great
Good.
compositions.
Absolutely.
You lied about there not being any food. The milk was bad, but that was it.
It's just 'cause
I really thought you and Steven did a great
Never
job.
want when you're-
I really feel like the relationship between Neil
Yeah.
and Travis is pulled off really well. The animosity at first and the
Right.
Oh, here's this shot.
yeah. This is actually one of my favorite scenes. I wasn't sure if this was gonna work as one shot, and we got coverage of the close-ups of you guys, but I just felt like it.
It's so long though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like
I
long.
like it.
I like it long.
I think it works. In previous films I've done long shots that didn't work, but I think this one works.
It's pretty risque.
Because I think the performances are just so strong here that they carry it. You don't need to see anything more than you're seeing right here.
It's a stupid sweater.
Right, and it's hard to recreate, the vibe.
Yeah, especially considering it's a single camera shoot, so we're not getting coverage of the same performance every time.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
You should have called.
Really?
I'll be right
Are you serious?
The scene's like 5 minutes long.
You don't like this scene, from what I've
He really
gathered.
doesn't. He wants to get out of the room while we talk about how much we like it.
She's my mom. What? Neither of your parents live.
What I like with Steven is he's very comfortable with
It's my responsibility.
like those where you just don't say anything for a while. Some people want to force the line, and sometimes you just
The pacing. Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys pulled off the pacing perfectly here. Just the pauses and the looking around.
That's why you left.
No. I got a job.
You
That's
got
one
a
thing,
job
too,
with the
that
way
you never-
look back.
One thing I sort of realized in editing was
You ever
that
heard of a phone?
a lot of stuff that I perceived on set wasn't actually the same when I went back and watched the footage.
Mm-hmm.
So like
And why?
somehow my
Yeah.
perception of timing and pacing in real life was different than what camera captured.
right.
So in some cases there were scenes where I didn't think it turned out right, and it actually turned out perfectly, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Like the funeral?
It's Christmas. Nobody's gonna
This,
come.
this is one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing.
Yeah.
Can't. I told the police to leave right after Christmas.
what they said.
They didn't really care.
I just like the way the conversation goes too. It's
Yeah, it feels really natural.
there's a
They didn't really care.
sort of the forced discussion, and they don't want to talk to each other, and
Probably closed.
they're both
Police?
talking about
No.
ridiculous things and really serious things at the same time.
Yeah.
Aren't there a lot of deaths at Christmas?
That's sort of overall kind of what I wanted this movie to be, is sort of this mixture of
I don't know.
inappropriate
Yeah,
humor
just things
and
you hear
like
about.
drama that are overlapped at the
Right,
same time.
right. Like the going on about the cremation. Like,
Right.
Really know what you're talking
It's
about.
kind of the overall emotion of the
yeah,
film.
there
that I
are
want.
more deaths around Christmas. It's true.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my roommate works at a funeral home, and I asked the funeral home director if that was true, and
Are
he
we
said
gonna bury
yeah.
Mom in the back?
It's like the.
He said it's our busy season.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, she wanted to be cremated.
I wish we could have a funeral home director like say that in the movie. It's
Where did you have that from?
somebody comes and picks up the body. Yeah, this is our busy season.
Burying her.
To reinforce that notion that Neil has early on.
Yeah.
That would have
Well,
been
your
funny.
family's death isn't that special.
Grown up.
It's really not a big deal. I mean,
Get
it's
a lot
very
of those.
common, so we'll have them in and out, be on their way.
I think cremation takes longer.
Really, I don't know why. All you have to do is burn the body. You don't have to worry about like the preservatives or whatever.
This is the view from the house. There's a swamp behind it.
You're right.
Well, it's actually a lake.
The
But
lake that was drained. We actually had to keep kind of doing minor rewrites around the status of the lake because
oh
it was,
yeah, what's gonna be the moon
It
seed?
was.
it had this salvinia growing in it, which is like basically like this
Yeah, it's this.
parasitic plant that covers the lake.
It takes over. It grows so fast that the entire. What is this Lake Bistineau?
Yeah, like this.
Yeah. So,
And
basically, a good portion of Lake Bistineau is filled up with
Yeah.
hyacinth, and
It was terrible.
they had
so
to drain the lake.
Drain the lake, but you know, you never really know. You have to like kind of hear through the grapevine when they're gonna raise it and lower it and all this stuff. And so
It's just,
originally when I was writing this, I thought the lake would be clear by then, and so
It is a big deal.
the lake would be
talking about us in reference
certain
to
things
a
like, you know, them dumping the ashes in the lake would make a little more sense maybe. But then like
It's just
then it
so
was supposed to be all the way drained and it was gonna be dried up, and I was like, okay, well that lake bed will make a nice
I am. God damn
moon
it.
scene. But then it sort of ended up being
Yeah.
halfway in
It's just
between.
like you're always fighting like all those unknowns.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me deal with it my own way. I don't need this. I didn't come.
We should have
home
just
with
built it. We built a lake in the studio.
nothing.
I wish if we had a studio space, we would have built a really
We
extravagant,
could have
like
just
fake
we
moon
could have
set.
used models in a
Yeah. Oh
bathtub.
man,
You should color bank.
Just blue screen you guys onto it.
Yeah, yeah.
that sounds like a job for Gerald Hayden.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember though, I was really worried about the moon scene location. It was something we hadn't even settled on. We were halfway done shooting, and I was still trying to figure out how we were gonna shoot
It
it.
looked great though,
But I think it turned out.
even though
perfect.
like it felt like
did.
we
Well,
all
even though
like.
you can see the, you know, you kind of see the grass a little bit and stuff. It actually sort of
makes
it merges with the fact
It
that
worked,
he's
yeah.
actually sitting in grass,
The
you know,
stuff,
dreaming in.
the
This was-
stuff you set up, those like random piping, that
Yeah.
all worked really well. I remember when I saw it, I was like, "What the hell was?"
Yeah, it's
Oh, this
just
is-
weird stuff.
Was this like the first day?
This was
This
the
was
first.
the first shot of the movie we shot right here.
Yeah.
It was a big Steadicam shot. This is actually the first like real Steadicam shot I had ever shot.
glide cam,
Glide cam, yeah. For
but
cheap.
same thing, basically.
This is a very long hill too. Actually, it's kind of
Yeah,
tricky to.
Danny had to like
Yeah,
spot me.
the terrain kind of switches on you as well.
Oh
I cut
boy.
it all
Okay,
the
I'm
same.
just not.
I wonder how weird this will seem to other people that they're a little ceremony. It's just them and a priest.
Yeah,
There's no extended family or anything that comes out for this.
yeah.
It's me,
I don't know if people will think about that or not.
Travis.
Yeah, this is pretty challenging for Steven because this was his first scene. He had to be
Mhm.
reading for his mom's funeral. That's pretty. One of the most difficult, dramatic scenes in the movie.
I wish I could have done more for you. Though
You know, one thing I realized that we should have done more of
I'm sure you
in the movie
said
with
that.
tripod shots is not lock off the tripod and let it breathe, kind of. Next time.
Well, how do you mean? Like just having a
Well,
slight
like you know
motion
how an
or-
actor's head moves ever so slightly.
Yeah.
I guess
I'm sorry.
kind of what
And
I've
having
seen in
it
other
move with
movies
it.
is they'll have a real slow
I wish I was gonna
movement.
say
It's very, very subtle, but it just adds a little. It takes
just
out
feel
some
like
of that
that's-
stagnated feeling.
it's
I mean,
just-
this is a great.
They're risky. I don't know. I feel like
Yeah,
when
that
it's
sounds
real
risky to
loose,
me.
like it can just jart the other way. You know.
No, I mean you have to.
Sounds like an advanced technique.
Well, it's not okay. Anyways, Just gonna-
We shut you down.
oh, you did. Jeez.
I didn't know we were doing this.
The guy playing the
Yes, I would
priest,
say.
his name's John
Daniels.
John F. Daniel, and he got a kind of, touched by what Steven said, and like kind of teared up. So
Yeah.
it reminded him of his father passing
Oh
away.
man, that's
I
really-
didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awkward. I mean, sad, but
Well, I mean,
awkward
like
because
and that was that was
one
like
of
our
those things you guys
first,
talk about when I'm off doing
and that was like
something.
our first scene, the first
didn't
shot,
realize
and
that.
Steven gets this guy to like tear up, and I'm just like, oh great, I gotta follow this.
Are you sure?
Yeah, and you're just standing there like an idiot, like just staring at him.
Travis, Neil's.
Yeah, and I felt sort of bad because he had John come out there. I had to have him stand in place for so long, and it was really soggy
he
because it just
started
rained the
sinking
day
into
before.
the mud.
I could read it.
He was right by a tree, kind of where it gets a little muddy, and so like he just.
Yeah,
starts-
the ground is really soft there.
The
I think it
elements-
made a great little visual joke right there.
It did.
I'm really sorry for your loss. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I remember
he's
my
got- oh,
direction
man.
here is just to make this as awkward as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh my god, it's painful to watch actually. This coming. Okay. Oh god. Oh,
He just hugs her.
oh, oh.
I'm Tara.
Makes my foot cramp up just
Y'all
watching
take care
that.
now.
He just leaves.
It's like it makes it seem like he didn't even really want to be there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I don't think he wanted.
It's like what an awful little funeral.
yeah. Worst funeral ever.
I don't think so. The lake? Water's kind of low.
Also, I really love that
Yeah,
Neil's wearing
I suppose
a
so.
tie with whales on it. I don't know
Yeah.
if you can ever really tell in the movie, but there's a little white whales on his blue
Yeah.
tie.
It's like, oh, cute for the funeral. Yeah,
Just get really bad decisions.
yeah.
You guys should all wear ties with whales at my funeral.
Did you say pies?
Pies?
Right here.
I heard
You
pies.
should wear
Shows what you
ties.
I'm not gonna wear a pie.
Are you gonna be?
You
You
could
gonna be
be
buried,
eating
or
pies.
you wanna be buried or cremated?
I don't know.
Yeah, we should go ahead and have that conversation just in
Oh,
case.
jeez.
I want to get
I
shot
guess-
up into
Oh,
space.
jeez.
Like,
Oh, I thought you just meant shot up by a
We
machine
kinda just
gun.
did that.
no, that would be cool. That's a better idea.
Like when you're already dead.
No, yeah, I want
Oh.
it to be like a big fireworks show, but I blow up with them. Like, no, like everyone get behind like a guardrail,
Alright.
and like
Agree?
I'll be
Watch
pretty
you.
rigid by then, but
is
you
one
could strap me to. I'm gonna stop talking about it.
This is one of the stranger purchases for movies, so I'm gonna go online and try and find a good urn.
No, it's supposed to be one.
Yeah.
And then we actually, that's just fireplace ashes. Like, in preparation for this scene, we had to have a fire going in the fireplace so I could have some ashes to put inside there.
We had one shot at
Just sort of little things like that you really don't think about till you get there. It's like, okay, we got the urn, we need ashes
Yeah.
in it.
You're
We
kicking
need to
the
burn
ashes.
something.
Does it
Yeah,
really
you
matter
are the
if
prop
we're here or
master.
here? The wind is just gonna disperse them anyway.
Shit.
Yeah, as you can see, it's a really depressing lake. That's like,
Yeah, the weather was
So-
generally
our house.
depressing.
it was actually really kind of appropriate for that scene though that it rained the day before. So just,
Didn't it take us an enormously long time to light that scene, that one you just saw? Like it was such a huge chunk of time just to get some lighting.
for the out the side one?
No, the elevator.
Oh, yeah,
Remember?
yeah.
It took forever. Like
You had to hang that little reflector.
It was so stupid, like-
I remember that. We taped it up there.
I know, but like it's just like
hoping we forget about
I mean, it looks nice, but it's like, yeah, now in retrospect,
it
it's
too
like
much?
it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
It's also shocking how much, with all the gear and technical stuff you can have on a set, how much tape is important. You know, like
Nothing
it's
replaces
almost the
tape.
most important thing.
With tape, you can do so much.
We're so experienced with it too. He's like blue tape is like a motif in my movies now.
Like what?
Like about this.
Can't use a stapler anymore. I just tape things. People are like, why'd you do that?
You can't hold the metal sheets together. 'Cause the outside tubes are taped together.
It's
You should never use Kinko's for printing because that big fancy poster over his bed,
You know
they
what I
squished it.
They did.
Oh,
It's not the right.
I think that
yeah,
Decoration.
they don't know it. They're not. Yeah.
I spent like 2 hours like tracing that a little matchbox thing in
They
Illustrator.
squished it. What
And they
a bunch of
squished it.
jerks.
It was like $60, so I wasn't gonna do it
Oh,
again.
I should have got. Oh,
Kinko's, if you're listening to this, you can just go to hell. You can go to hell, and
yeah.
I won't care.
and FedEx, you can just stop being partners with Kinko.
Kinko?
Kinko's.
Mr. Kinko.
Mr. Kinko.
Hey, Leroy Kinko. Paper
I
specialist.
print stuff.
It's sort of funny whenever we had to
Sell
do
paper.
the
I laugh
intercom
at it.
parts in these.
Doing quite well for myself. When I originally got started in the paper industry.
Mr. Kinko's a bachelor. It's really not that funny. I don't know why I laughed.
We cut out a lot right there, actually. There's a whole sequence
Yeah.
where you're like
Oh, yeah.
walking up the stairs. We actually put a lot of work into getting that shot, and it was actually a pretty cool shot, but
So
I think I
Evan,
was trying
what
to
did
do
you
that.
what made you decide to put the two cat paintings in that
I
shot?
can't take credit for that as much as I want to. It's one of the best,
It was just
the
a
best
quirky
visual
thing.
elements in the whole
Serendipity.
thing, and it was an accident. It was just coincidence.
It was just there already.
It was there already. I did bring that little rubber band ball though.
You can take credit for that.
And the plant that's like slanted, like it's the perfect office for it.
The lawyer is Bill Sanders, who I've worked with a lot. Though it's kind of, he has a real job. Yes, he just got married, but like we're on the side, like he goes off without telling anyone and will humor me and be and stuff. And he's always had this quality where he's really about like 47 years old, but trapped in like a 27-year-old's
Oh,
body.
he's an old man.
Yeah, he's
Young
a
person's
well
body.
boy. He's always like, really?
He does.
Yeah, he's good for. He's sort of giving the impression of like this like cheap Southern lawyer that they have.
Right.
I thought he did a good job though. This is
Yeah.
actually I think a really nice scene.
Mm-hmm.
The shot right here, I love that.
Your
Goes
mother
to
left
the other
everything.
chair.
The house, her savings, everything your father left behind. To the both of you.
One thing that's funny though, this was actually the last day of shooting,
50-50.
and
Okay.
one of the little subtleties I've picked up on is inconsistency in Steven's hair. He's got a lot more hair here than he does in the funeral scene because that was the very
Oh,
first
wow.
scene like 3
Oh
weeks
yeah.
earlier.
Well, he's got a lot more hair.
Obviously, she thought differently.
It's one of those things you don't really notice when you're doing it.
Yeah, there's just too many details for
Spend
art
art
film.
Well, it's just sort of like the things that make you realize why there's like
It's to me,
why
it's
big productions are as inefficient as they are because it's like they have hair and makeup people take
Right.
pictures of it and
Right.
match it. and
That's
stuff.
what differentiates me from Steven is that I'm a professional and that I think about it, and so I trim my hair to keep it the same.
Just refuse to.
Yeah, I'm not sure why your hair doesn't really look any different to me. I don't know. Maybe you got a haircut at some point.
I feel like my hair never grows. It's just I really don't. I don't really get haircuts very often. Sure,
Actually, if you look
sure,
right
it can't
here
be.
outside the window, you can see one of the little white things for the moon.
Oh man.
You can barely see it, but it's there.
Not everything.
So that's where the moon was. It was just right off the yard right there.
I really like this scene.
And actually,
What?
we did ADR for this scene, and I ended up going back to the
Talking to you.
original
Oh, really?
camera audio. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I couldn't get the ADR to sound right. And
Yeah, that's the big challenge of ADR. Is like it's really hard to make it sound distant when it needs to sound distant or
when
whatever.
it's sort of an all or nothing thing. I discovered you either because it takes so much work to make it perfect, and then if you go from that scene to another scene where it's sort of imperfect, but it's not bad enough
Yeah.
to re-record, and you have this weird inconsistency.
It's
where
more
you have,
important to be consistent than to have
than
beautiful.
super professional, right?
Yeah.
Also, you can get kind of like, oh, we can fix that, but let's fix this too. And while we're at it, there's this line I really like. Like
I got sort of obsessive.
and you're
over
like,
it.
oh my god,
Yeah.
I just redid.
That's the thing
just-
about sound. Sound's like oil painting. You can always keep correcting it and to
Yeah.
no end, and you'll never stop working on it.
So I realized
I
I'm
didn't know you
definitely getting
painted,
like a
Danny.
professional sound guy on my next movie. Like that's
I do
I
sound.
can't deal with it. Like it's just a whole world I don't want to dive into.
Yeah. No, it's not that
That's
fun.
not fair.
I think you had a little audio blowout, a little audio clipping right there.
This intellectual property.
It only applies to the stuff he sold. I got this room fair and square.
Fine. I got everything else.
Sort of another fun little subtlety here is that the door actually locks from Steven's side. So Steven could lock him out of the house. Or the only thing holding him out of the room is his camera's laid against the door. Like
Yeah.
it's not really locked out.
And I guess I really stayed true to that. Slept there and blocked it all night.
This is this thing throughout the whole movie. Neil never really sleeps in him. He sleeps in a bed once, but he's always like waking up outside or in the trash.
Yeah.
I actually like this shot a lot though. I think that's a nice shot. I also almost had to keep track of when you were chewing gum and when you weren't.
I'd pick up a gum from the ground a lot because I'd spit it out and then we need it again.
Yeah,
And
you don't think about how many takes you need gum
and we
for.
started to run low on gum, so I'd reuse.
You did that? Wow.
That's why we had that green gum.
That's really
earlier,
impressive.
Because that
I
was
mean,
like some spare gum that was around
I'm
somewhere
sort of disgusted and really impressed at the same time.
I mean, there wasn't much time to think
A
about
mix
it.
of emotions here.
It's like that. It's just that state of mind you get when you're making a movie. Like
Yeah.
things that would normally be gross or weird or
No, there's no
I
choice.
I remember
you don't even
picking
think
it-
about it. You just do it.
I remember picking up off the ground in the backyard, and Cindy saw it, and she didn't say anything, but I do remember looking at it's like her catching me and kind of just
This was really hard to do because
Oh.
it
Yeah.
got so steamy in there that the water just
Yeah.
started falling.
It took us forever to do that shot.
Yeah.
And it
Again.
is strange to shower with like people outside, like right outside, and like there are like 4 of you on there.
That's
We were
another
just
thing.
watching.
Normally you'd have like a stand in or something, but you just had
Yeah.
to stay in there for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, we
And
had
then,
no
I
standard.
wound up just taking a shower. I wore my boxers, but I was like, I guess I'll just, like, so shampoo. Like, all right.
Oh, there's a banana.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this was, and I kid you not, the first time I've ever had a banana.
Yeah, Kemerton actually had never eaten a banana before this point in his entire life.
Yeah, no one believed
Weird.
me.
We had to show him how to eat
We
it.
really didn't believe him either. But
But then I got it, and like
he
I went
asked his
out.
mom and everything. And
Yeah.
his mom said because his mom doesn't like bananas apparently. So
Oh, wow.
it
I
kind
did-
of explains
yeah,
why
I-
he would have never had
I
it.
did call my mom, and then when I went to open it, apparently I did it the wrong way.
He is upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a
I-
weird thing. You don't think you have to teach your actor how to open a banana.
I
Yeah,
don't
we
think
had-
we're supposed to be eating bananas. I mean, there's nothing about them.
They're
that-
designed. They fit right in your hand. If you cup your hand, the grooves of a banana actually
don't-
fits right in
I
your
don't
hand.
like peeling things off.
We've
and-
actually evolved specifically to eat bananas
I disagree.
from monkeys. Yeah.
I think that bananas are like something from, I don't know, they look like weird dead flowers and you're just eating the center. It feels very unnatural to me. And
Jeez.
then you got to deal with,
So you haven't had a banana since then?
no,
Wow.
no.
I think before we do
This
anything.
is kind of funny too. The bag falls. That was not intentional at all, but it fell at kind of an ideal moment.
Yeah.
So we just left it.
Yeah, I like the bag
Why do you
falling.
guys decorate?
I kind of felt like. Well, I felt like. Never mind.
Mom didn't feel up to it.
It's actually a really cool shot to set up too, because we're on a hill, but we wanted that perfect level. So like
Oh yeah.
the camera's really extended it on apple boxes, and Keith's up on a ladder with the boom pole.
Yeah, I was looking for that in the reflection. I don't know if I could see
No,
it.
you
On a
can't.
side
That's
note,
another
It's-
thing.
It's in the dark part because we're lower.
between takes when we had all these golf balls, I took one drive, just one drive, and it was one of the best drives I've hit in my entire life. I didn't do
Wow.
one after that, but it went very, very far in the lake, and it was very like,
It was very.
and it was with
straight.
those old wacky clubs.
Well, and Steven
Doesn't that,
had
doesn't
to.
that feel great?
It's just the best feeling.
It's like.
You know?
Steven had the
extremely-
challenge of not hitting the camera with the ball. Like,
Right.
he had
Yeah,
to
there
hit
was
him
no,
right past
no
us.
shield in front of the camera
We
whatsoever.
were
I
just
was
standing there.
worried that could be campy, but it worked with the audio like that. You know?
Yeah, one thing I realized is the scene is really sort of silly. It's sort of almost like a National Lampoon like Christmas kind of thing. Like you don't know how to plug in lights. It's really sort of cheesy,
Yeah.
but
I
it's basically
really
just
don't.
supposed to set up that these guys
Like,
are totally
there's one-
unqualified to build
yeah.
a spaceship in any way, shape, or form.
There's one shot where I think right here. I
Yeah.
want you. That's not acting. That happened. Like I couldn't do it.
You couldn't continue the line, or
Well, the whole.
We just didn't plan ahead.
ah.
I usually do something once or twice, and then I go back and go, all right. Well, I should have thought about it before. I'm very no. I'll get it. I'll figure it out. It's
Just,
okay.
just
I can
ju-
do it. I can
jump
do it.
in.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We must have blown a fuse or flipped a breaker.
It was funny because like after we shot this at the end of the first leg, and then we had like a 10-day break for Christmas and everything. My parents had like Christmas parties out there. But I made my mom leave the really shitty Christmas lights off for consistency.
Aw.
And just like the spaceship and stuff. It's like my mom just had to like tell people there's
Yeah.
something weird going
Don't
on.
mind the spaceship.
Oh,
He
that.
locked me in for 3 hours one time.
It wasn't 3 hours.
I really like how this
3
turned out too.
hours,
I think this is a cool shot.
47 seconds.
Yeah.
Sort of
Yeah.
ballsy, just
I
lighting it by.
was stuck.
fire.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really was. I was like
3 hours,
worried.
12 minutes.
Yeah.
But then I was looking back, I was
The
like,
timing where they like shine the light in their faces, so you get an occasional look at their faces, and I think
That's
it
what I
works.
remember.
Yeah, after going to theater a few times, you
What I'm saying
kind of
is
figure out how to
more
do
than
it. It's a cool space to use too.
Yeah.
It's a lot cooler even with the lights on though.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
that-
this
yeah.
really long tunnel that goes the whole length of the house.
And there's
Like
just
a mechanical
all the
shit.
wiring of the house is like lines it. It's very, very neat.
I did a lot of ADR work on this scene though, because it was really noisy in there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's where all the generators are or something.
Where he flips the switch. I think this is it.
It's a
I was
sprinkler.
actually, yeah,
It's a
he
sprinkler
faked the
system that he
move.
flips. Yeah.
And then I was the light guy. So I knew when he turned it to sync it.
Yeah.
And I remember like after the take, we got it in like one shot. I think Steven was like, "Hey, good job." I was like, "Yeah, you too, man." Like we were proud of ourselves pulling it off.
It's really funny though, because it just seemed like, when we're doing it, we're just gonna have him turn some random thing. But like if you have a sprinkler in your house, or you ever use like a sprinkler system, that's clearly a sprinkler system that
Right.
he flips.
What about this when we were playing hide and seek?
Guess I want to make sure we stayed out.
I also kind of like how we just have a bunch of cardboard boxes and crap, like doing the set deck in this.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually an extremely clean, like never been used garage because it's like a new house.
The
And we
bucket
just
on
had
the
to junk it up.
bucket on the rope is great.
Yeah, it's like what the hell.
Yeah, there's just a bucket on a rope, maybe for
Sort of.
pulling up to it.
And that bucket actually has one of those H stickers on it too.
Oh yeah.
It's perfect for the room. Really.
Let's do it.
The
Where'd you
set
get all
was-
those props from, besides the spaceship?
Some of the stuff like that TV I bought at Goodwill.
That TV's awesome.
My parents had those little skis, those
Oh.
wooden skis. Those like technical architecture plans and everything on the desk. Those are actually like my dad's and my grandfather's like
Oh,
old
yeah.
drawings and stuff. So that's kind of a cool thing to have in there.
Let's build
They're
something
actually
inward.
Yeah.
pretty delicate stuff to be having out there.
Research.
I don't know if we've addressed this ship, but Evan, he got people to really build this thing. Obviously,
Yeah,
not
one
to
of my
take
dad's
off.
businesses. They do aluminum, like custom decorative ceilings for like airports and stuff. And so they basically had the infrastructure to do something like that. And I basically went to the head guy there because my dad doesn't run the place anymore. And he's kind of an old friend of the family. And he was just like, he asked me how much money we had. I said, I got a couple $100. And he's like, well, we're just gonna do it. And they built us this thing.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was one of the biggest sort of breakthroughs for the whole production, was that we were actually going to get a real metal ship.
It was
that's
just
in
instant
sections that we could
credibility,
put together.
you know. It was like,
Because we never would, if we tried to do that ourselves, it would have been so unbelievable. Like,
Well, we did do it once before on the short film.
yeah, it was crap. It was a spaceship that actually
Okay.
took off horizontally.
this scene with this actor Jamie, the first take I had with him,
Oh,
he
put
was
this
going.
really New York accent
Yeah,
on
he
there,
was like
yeah.
this tough guy from Brooklyn, and like I didn't know he was gonna do that, and I'd spoken to him before, and like Evan says action, he's like, "Yo, Neil Henderson." And I was
Yeah,
just
none
like-
of us had heard the
And like
character.
I looked at Evan, I didn't know what to do. I was just like, I just wasn't ready for that.
Well, it's funny because he doesn't sound anything like that, so we're like talking to him in action, and then he puts on this voice that none of us had heard, and
Yeah.
it took us all by surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that once.
But actually, a funny thing going back to the spaceship is after they built that, they actually got a call from the science center in Mississippi that was actually going to have a giant metal spaceship inside their building that was going to be an elevator, and they actually got the job to build them. They called them and they're like, "We need this custom spaceship," and they're like, "Yeah, we do spaceships." So they actually had our spaceship as their portfolio
wow.
for it, and they actually built another spaceship
Oh
as
my
a real
God.
job.
That's awesome,
That's fantastic.
and I know where to go if I ever want another.
So Shane Irvin built the
Yeah, this
rocket
is all
launch
Shane
pad.
doing the
Yes.
It was actually
Launch
sort of a
pad.
technical feat for us because we actually had to make something that would support the weight of people and not.
and the ship.
Yeah, and a ship.
And then it got
giant metal
rained
ship.
on, so it got a little warped. But it was.
Well, we wanted it to look aged, because it.
But I mean, it was like one of the first things we've made that's not like made to break.
Yeah.
Right.
Compared to Evan's other films where
Yeah, it was
everything's
actually
duct
sort of a
taped
safety
together,
thing, yeah.
blue taped together.
Forgot to put water in.
So this is
And,
kind of symbolic. I don't know. To me, it's like, oh, we actually
Like
did
a
something for
serious-
real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like the first
So
thing
it's a
we
whole
did.
film. We did things that
went out
weren't
and
real.
built that
You
day.
just picked up Maggie's production design drawings for that room.
Yeah, Maggie did right. All the way.
Another thing too is
This
like,
was really
this was like
cool.
the one element. This is one of my favorite moments of the whole movie, because you don't expect us to have actually figured out how to do a real bottle rocket for this thing
Yeah.
that we built to actually work,
And
but
I-
it does, and it's really
yeah.
like glorious. It's like
It was really cool. I wasn't expecting it to. I'm pretty
And-
sure that was just my response.
I think the funny thing too is that the atmosphere of the movie sort of mirrors our actual production. We're a bunch of like people that aren't really qualified to be doing this. So
No,
that something
yeah.
actually works, You know, it's
Right.
sort of a cool thing for us and for the characters in the movie that it actually works.
Yeah, I know we're
Like-
trying to do this really unrealistic thing.
Yeah.
It felt like.
I can play the underqualified thing real well. Like lighting these, we generally didn't know if they would take off.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously they're
Kemerton-
supposed to.
You know, on a real movie, there'd be like all this kind of safety stuff, but you know, Kemerton's willing to go out there and risk his life.
I got some.
Well, I wouldn't quite say risking his life.
You can
Well,
set
later
on,
on,
fire.
yeah. I mean,
He
that
set
was,
his arm on
but I
fire.
mean, in the context, not with the fireworks, but later on he did.
Shane's like,
something.
don't worry. I'm an engineer.
We put a lot. We actually
Cool.
put a.
Do you deal with fire?
Into Shane.
It was actually we actually put a lot of prep into the fire thing.
Yeah, it was really
We did
cool.
a lot of safety tests with
Like,
the
yeah.
material because they had a lot of excess costume fabric. And we did all,
they wrapped up mine like a mummy, kind of, with that stuff. And
we
then,
tested like 6 different kind of flammable fluids for it and tried to see which would burn the most efficiently and what was the hottest and everything. And we actually figured it out.
Yeah, it worked quite well. The last of the takes, we wound up doing like 8 or something.
Yeah.
It was getting pretty warm there, so I'm glad we kind of,
Wrap jar.
yeah.
It's actually kind of funny in the behind the scenes that we got it cut together. And it's like we like the first one and we're all kind of serious about it. And then there's like 8 more takes after that where we're just lighting your arm again over and over again.
And that
not a
was the
big
worst
deal.
part. The worst part was that I kept getting blasted in the face with that fire extinguisher.
Right,
Oh,
and you were
God.
coughing the rest of the time, but it actually worked really well for the
Yeah.
scene because, like, when you come to, you have like this really sincere, like, awful cough.
Yeah.
that we gave you.
I was like, oh, you put the visor down. And you're like, ooh, we already shot you with the visor. And I was like,
sorry,
naturally.
we can't do that.
Perfect.
You gotta imagine, it must have been pretty hard.
This is actually a pretty tricky scene too, because
Go do it.
it's another one of those scenes where we only have really one take for it. 'Cause once you start
We could only
painting
paint
it,
the
it's
set
painted.
once.
Yeah.
And you guys, I mean, it's a pretty long shot. And you
Yeah,
guys
the
had to get it
blocking
down.
worked because we had to just basically play off where the other guy was going.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, it was a tricky setup for the audio because of the sound of the things. But I think we pulled it off pretty well.
I think what he really wanted
It's just one of those situations where you guys have to get it right, and you did. And it's one of those you're always kind of scared, and it's really exciting when we get it.
I wish we could have taken more photos on set.
Yeah.
We need more self-indulgence.
Well, next time you'll just be the set photographer. You won't have
Oh,
any.
jeez.
You won't have any real
That's quite a
responsibility.
demote. Actually, God, that would suck. Well, I mean, it would be cool because I could take good photos, but then I couldn't help realistically
Yeah.
in any real fashion.
Yeah.
And on some level,
Well, because you almost have to switch your brain over. If you're,
Yeah.
Like, in the stress, like I got to set up a scene, and then
Right.
that's a neat photo.
Doing
you know?
still photos, yeah, it's all about like exploration. It's
Right.
it's much different. Yeah.
I told you.
I think we ended up with some. I mean, we got kind of a random bunch of behind the scenes stuff. Like, it wasn't a lot of
Cindy brought her
intentional stuff, but I
camera.
think we got some good stuff.
Yeah.
I need a new situation.
That's one of the things. Like, I really wanted to almost have somebody dedicated to getting behind the
Right,
scenes video
yeah.
and photos and stuff on this, but we couldn't really.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
position that's sort of a luxury.
yeah, definitely.
And, but in retrospect, we actually ended up with a lot of good footage
Oh,
and stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
I'll have to tell you after we built one.
Yeah, but so far.
So far,
It's kind of funny. I really wanted to have this like 2-level platform on this that they could interact with, but we don't really use it all that much.
No.
It's one of the only places where they actually sit on it.
I remember you post the call time for everyone in the morning or whatever, and the night before this scene, it said Kimmer-dawn. And I was like, when is dawn? What time is dawn?
That's one of those last-minute decisions we look up like, before.
Yeah. I just remember you woke me up, and I just like didn't even think, and we just went out there.
Well, I mean, that's appropriate because your character's.
Yeah.
But you're actually in your socks, and I didn't realize that until after we started shooting.
Yeah.
Because I asked you to step off and walk up to the house. You're like, "There's mud here. I'm in my socks." I'm like, why are you in your socks?
Yes, shit.
Shit.
what? I haven't spoken to her in like 2 days.
I was also really afraid when we were shooting this that the garage set was gonna get really stale.
I thought you
Because I felt like I got kind of creatively
Well,
hit like a brick wall in there trying to figure. Because we you know,
Oh,
logically
this is
you set
awesome.
up your shoots too.
This is great. What happens? I was so impressed with this. Like it's just like really comical. Jeez. It was just so perfect how it all happens.
what's going on.
I'm basically just referring to how Kemerton sits down.
Yeah, when the
Yeah.
box collapses.
I'm just-
that was unintentional too.
Yeah.
Like that was
We
like
actually did like
whoa.
3 takes where he sits on it, it doesn't collapse.
It's pretty genuinely funny.
The one thing I guess I know how to do is I can pretty much hold face with
Yeah.
with
No,
stuff
yeah,
happens.
you have
That's
this freakish
important.
ability.
I won't break character
No,
unless like
it's
someone
true.
else does.
It's really true, yeah.
It's also kind of funny too because we just as sort of an indication of how haphazardly we would shoot stuff. I actually have the camera on a steady cam, like sitting
Oh,
on the ground
yeah.
right now.
And that's
Like
also
I didn't
have
want to
time
take
to
the time
switch.
to take it off the steady cam, put it on a tripod, so I'm just holding
Right.
it on the ground and sitting with it.
and
That's why
also
it's
like
jiggling a little
being
bit.
familiar with one another. Like I know some people might cut me, but you know you're like, oh, I can hold it, I'll finish it. you
Right,
know?
You
right.
just get sucked into that box.
Yeah.
That was
It eats you whole.
Travis, I have to go.
And one of the tricks too,
I have to
like
go home.
with the scheduling, is when we got the ship,
What emergency?
we were originally going to get it like a day early before we started shooting, and I was going to be able to paint the whole thing.
Tara's
But we ended up getting it like 2 days after we started shooting,
Oh, yeah.
and so the painting had to happen while we were shooting. Like whenever like Cindy wasn't in the scene, she would go off and work on painting the ship.
Yeah,
But
so
it was
strange.
tricky too because we also had to have the ship inside the garage for a lot of these scenes and
Yeah,
coordinate
they
that.
moved it back
So
and
we had to move
forth.
it back and forth in and out of the garage to be painted and then be. It was really complicated.
It was.
Have to do a job.
It's
Yeah,
sort of,
talk about
it's sort of amazing
so
to pull that
heavy
off.
too, or just awkward to move.
Also, something you don't think about is like, you know, you have different wardrobes, and I could never. I was like, what am I wearing? That's hard. We had to
Well,
go
that's
to the
another thing that
script
we
a
had to
lot and
be
be
in.
like, wait.
It's another one of those jobs you normally have someone dedicated to that we had to figure out ourselves.
Yeah, and then sometimes
I ended up making an actual costume schedule for everyone.
like Evan and I were talking, and be like, wait, would he be wearing this, or would it make sense if he wore this since he
Right.
wore that last night? Like,
So
he had to, yeah, like
even
what
if
would
you
you
schedule
do?
it, you still find errors and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
it's like, well, why'd he keep it on?
And then
know?
you have like changes in the schedule based on things like the spaceship, and then you have to adjust. It gets really complicated really fast.
Yeah, and then
be
you
able to
and then you
act
switch
fast.
back and forth like 3 times a day. I've never worn any of these clothes since this.
Yeah, once you see yourself wearing them in a movie, it's like you never wear them again.
Yeah.
About being in this garage again. That's all.
I really like that hoodie of Stevens. I remember admiring it throughout the shoot. I wound up buying it. I tracked it down. I got
really?
one. Yeah.
Oh,
Wait.
One thing that I also think is interesting is how kind of colorful this movie ends up being. You know, sort of unintentional.
Yeah.
So I guess since you're leaving, I'll just have
I don't
to
know.
finish it.
I don't know
by
how that
myself.
happens. It's just like I almost wonder if generally you have
he gets
an art director that's in charge of the color scheme of certain scenes and stuff.
You're not coming back.
But it seems like if you don't do that, then by default things end up being really colorful, and I kind of like it.
You can't tell me what to
But
do.
some scenes like this one, since it was around Christmas, we had that green and the red. We did stuff like that.
Do what?
See, we had the green box, remember, because the red and green for
We
Christmas.
didn't do that at all.
Yeah, no.
What are you talking
What
about?
are you doing?
I like that insect lunchbox too. That was mine in like 3rd grade. For some reason, my mom still has
You're
it.
being unreasonable.
And you're being an asshole. Travis, let go.
No.
These are my plans.
What are you possibly gonna do with them?
Keep you from messing with the ship. Like, damn it, Travis.
I can make do with this.
Give me it.
And when you come back, we'll combine our 2 halves, and then we'll get back to work.
I tried when I was watching this movie. I tried to imagine what would I say to Neil Henderson if I was like saw him at Walmart.
Oh yeah?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was just kind of
What'd you
like
come up with?
I didn't feel like he wouldn't really talk to me.
Yeah, it's not the kind of person you talk to.
No, he
Yeah.
was just kind of like he would
You'd
probably
be
be
buying some random
moon
thing to
or
build a
something.
spaceship with.
Hmm.
But that's yeah. I tried to say hi, but he's off in his own world, so
Mhm.
he's kind of
Neil.
self-absorbed.
He
I
sort of
guess.
seems like autistic-y.
Yeah, he does.
He gets really
Glad
focused
you- I
and
wouldn't say
kind
that, but I'm glad you
of
did.
kind of in denial over
Yeah,
things.
because
Like,
instead of being like
he believes
not
things.
all there.
Right.
instead of being like passionate and focused, he's like kind of out there and focused.
Yeah.
So it makes him seem slightly like retarded.
He's like distant, and then he's like,
Like I told you, leave the ship alone. Forget about it.
That piece of the ship wasn't too hard to put up there,
It's a huge mess in the yard.
but the rest was.
that's a little tricky.
Well, but that is the heaviest piece.
And
though.
then you just cut to where it's all the way up.
Yeah.
Like there's just jump.
there's no
No.
explanation how they do it.
Yeah.
From our perspective, it's like so
Right.
unjust how it just pops up there
Well, on
magically.
this hill that you see, like the ship is down the hill to the left right here, And for the moon scene, we had to get all the way, roll up that hill and down the one on the other side and set it up again.
I remember
and
I just
then move
wanted
it back.
to literally just roll it, just drop it.
It was kind of fun because
We
it's
had to
like
move-
dark and we were like figuring out. It's like, oh shit, we have to move this all the way over there. It's like one of those afterthoughts.
Well, how many feet? Like we had to move it around like the size of like half a football field approximately.
It was very
It was up
heavy,
a hill.
very
And uphill.
awkward.
And over grass.
Both
Oh,
ways,
yeah.
literally uphill both ways. It doesn't happen very much.
Comes to a point.
And
yeah.
I mean, it was really hard.
Yeah,
it was really
it was
heavy.
extremely.
But we could not do it
It was
because
so
we didn't
gr-
have a choice.
Such
It's so gratifying. though.
glorious struggle.
It was like desperation strength, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
and
a-
Hunter recorded this audio tape with one of his trailer voice guys.
Oh, that's how that.
That's how we got this. This was one of those things where I knew it just had to be something ridiculous, but I never really wrote it. I decided it'd be fun to just hand it off to Hunter to write something.
Yeah.
There's actually like 2 minutes of this tape that he gave me,
Oh,
but I
really?
decided to pick the best section.
Here's what's gonna go down. There's a baby coming.
Thing about babies.
Hasn't said.
And sort of one of the fun things too is that I made some of these props like that DVD.
Yeah, I
case
was
and,
wondering.
like
Can I ask you?
the gum package and stuff.
Nicotine, yeah. That was-
I almost wish I put a little more camera time on those.
Best we learn.
Yeah.
They're such, like,
I mean, you put so much
background
work
things.
into it. It's just
Yeah.
a small part, but
I guess we're gonna get to.
Sometimes it's like I shot something, yeah, it's like something I've worked on a lot, but we don't really need it. You're like, I'm gonna put it in there anyway. It's
I
like,
know, I
no,
know.
Yeah,
that
that was one of
feels-
the hard things of it.
Yeah, like,
I mean,
I have to part with it.
I didn't know.
yeah.
it's one of those things, one of those like checkpoints you have to get through as an editor is really being able to let go of stuff.
You just gotta realize that you have to make
have
all
to
this stuff
separate
just to make
yourself.
one good shot, and that's it.
Yeah, you have to separate yourself from it and just be able to
Yeah.
freely delete really good stuff.
Yeah, that's how I handle like relationships in my life. Like, just cut the cord, no attachment.
That's
So no
really
one
how
gets
you
hurt.
should handle
So
everything.
you
Yeah, life
can't
is
get
like
hurt.
editing.
So yeah, I
Cut it
don't
down.
know. I don't
Cut-
know.
Just take the most interesting things to
Just
you.
a really compact, short and sweet.
Exactly.
Just go all out and really compact life. You
I'll
dive-
respond to
dive
yes or
down.
no
Cut it down to
questions,
the-
and don't look me in the eye. Otherwise, we'll be fine.
No, don't play around very much. Just get to the point.
This is,
Yeah.
this is kind of cool too. These metal scraps are just spare scraps that they
Those
have
are
when they made
dangerous,
it-
too.
When they made the ship and they just gave it to us. Like, yeah, we'll use those.
They're easy to cut yourself on as well.
I mean, it's really elaborate. Like if you look at like that.
Also, these
section
pieces
right
are
there-
freezing.
Yeah.
Something
like-
we haven't mentioned is how cold it was when
It
we were
was
shooting.
very, very cold.
In Louisiana,
It snowed.
it's
Snow,
not just cold in Louisiana; it's
freezing
wet
rain.
cold.
Right.
All the air is infused with like freezing water, so every wind burst.
It's
is
actually it's
miserable.
always weird to me to think about that because I know like logically how cold it was, but it really never occurred to me the whole time I was shooting how cold it was. Because I was just constantly moving, and like everybody was always like, "Man, it's so cold. I don't want to go out there." And it's like it never directly
yeah.
occurred to me that it was cold because I never really felt it. I was
You were
just
just so.
Cindy would
I was
always
so
have to have
uninvolved.
like. She always had like 3 comforters.
I know she would like
hang out in the sleeping bag.
Oh yeah, she was always in that sleeping bag.
Yeah, she would just walk around in a sleeping bag, like literally just a sleeping bag over
Yeah.
her body while she was walking around. It was weird. It was kind of cute at first,
Keep
and then it
warm.
was just kind of
Yeah.
strange. It's like the joke after the joke was over, she was still doing it.
Well, it wasn't a joke. She was trying to keep
Yeah,
warm.
I mean, I don't remember like her sitting at the dinner table and like not taking her arms out, eating the
I mean,
food,
it
eating the
was-
food like this.
It was cold outside. It wasn't like she
Yeah.
was putting on an act.
She's in the sleeping bag eating her food, just her face. That didn't happen at all, but that would be so funny.
Nah, it didn't happen.
You're really
The
exaggerating.
visuals would be great.
This is the other scene that's completely ADR too.
Oh,
And-
is it?
And recorded separately. Actually, I also cut this scene down about in half, like that first scene too. It was about half as long as it originally was written, and all the audio got redone in separate days by the two of them.
This seems tricky because of all the noise. There's
Right.
like a train, and then everyone,
Yeah,
Well,
and
we're right
everyone
by.
was pulling it.
All
Yeah,
these
it's
rice
like-
rockets driving by.
Yeah, everyone was like in the
And
mood
then we were
to
in the
rev pipes
patio,
and
is like
pump
this little
horns.
pocket that just kind of
Yeah,
echoed.
I know. For whenever people like see a camera, they have this urge to honk.
No, they do. They're like,
Why?
Because they're just like, I think people are excited, and they're like, the only emotion you can express in a car is like, that one thing that could mean so many things. But a lot of it is like, they're filming. This can't.
Yeah.
There's no way this is helping anything.
No, not at all. They do it though. It's like they always do it.
I ended up cutting this down too because I think it ultimately just. This was the very last scene of the whole movie, and we were really rushed to do it. And
Yeah, I think I dropped the light like 2 or 3 times too.
It was like a really tense situation.
Oh, this is
and
some of
I
the
think
best
it really ended
cinematography
up-
right here.
You think so?
Actually, like, well,
Yeah, I really like
in terms
these-
of like,
these side porch.
well, I like, I don't know, like, there's just something about the way you found these little situations that.
Well, yeah, because
worked.
we didn't even scope out Sideport. We just knew they had a new space section.
Yeah, the
and
way
I
you
was
made
like,
her
we're
go
gonna
in
get
that globe and in the space hat and then the thing that weird
None of these
light
locations
show.
we got permission to shoot in. We would just walk in with the camera and
Space hat.
Yeah.
I feel like that was some of the most emotional
Yeah.
photography, if you can use that term. Like, it feels like you were really in tune with what you were shooting and you were really able to evoke a feeling with it. So,
I like that you think that about that because I don't particularly feel like those are that strong.
we never think alike, Evan.
No, we're opposites.
We're complete opposites.
That's why we make a good team.
Oh man.
Well, you have to have a buffer, and I'm literally sitting between. I'm sitting between y'all right now.
3 guys on a movie.
No, that's actually the name of our next project.
Oh no.
That's our podcast.
3 guys on a movie.
That deck's kind of funny too because we would just have piles of wires that we never like got tangled, so
No.
like, we'd
Right.
move it around. Here it's just sitting on that desk right there.
Yeah, those wires had their own road case. As one piece.
Insert wires here.
It's a clump of wires that goes in a case.
I like the car scenes where I just rode around. And
It was kind of fun because it's like the one moment we'd be like in
Oh, there's
really
a sandbag.
I really like how
Uh-oh.
epic this is. I want to enter every
Cola.
place like this. Like I feel like someone just got through something. They have to fight. I'm the villain, the main villain. I want to crack my knuckles
You're a
and be like,
villain who just got off work.
very well dressed villain.
I was originally going to try and build a bunch of ridiculous inventions to fill this garage with, but that ended up being a lot of work. But one of my favorite things that I did was the thing that, that Steven's holding. It's a tennis racket with a fishing reel taped onto the handle.
Yeah.
So like he could like fish and play tennis at the same time.
Alright. Of course. Yeah, I just. You know, I had a lot of free
It's an
time.
American flag.
Yeah, I just stuck that.
Just put that.
That was actually originally, I think, on the helmet, on Kimmer's helmet, and I peeled it off.
We just want to support the troops.
That's what this movie's ultimately about.
Always.
We still have a few important components from the insides.
And this is just such an elaborate shot. Like
Yeah.
you can tell it's really meticulously planned out where everything
Yeah,
was.
you could.
All these haphazard shots, and there's that one shot that's like put a lot of thought into this
Now
one.
his name's Heaven.
Yeah. He was in making of.
I like to make stupid jokes about.
Oh, I remember
people's
I wanted to
names,
light
and
this-
his name was Heaven, and then we had MacGyver, and I was just like, "Don't do it.
Don't do it. Stop.
Don't do it." And I was like, "I know there's a pun in there. I could make a joke with this." And I was like, "But he wouldn't like it."
That's internal
do it.
struggle.
I
the
didn't
whole
do it.
thing. You didn't.
That's actually all I was thinking about
Good
throughout these scenes with him. I was like, "Don't say anything about his name being
No,
Heaven."
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Can't resist.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that all the supporting the little roles like that happens, and I basically just got people that I've worked with on other projects to be in. Pretty much all the little bit roles are just other people I knew. I just kind of put in there. I didn't really have any actual auditions or casting or anything.
That's it.
We're gonna have to improvise with plumbing supplies.
Is there anywhere else you can go?
This will work.
Like, what the hell would that ever do?
I don't know.
No,
Taped
it-
off on all
it
ends.
just-
It's
yeah,
completely
it's
self-enclosed.
completely-
Like,
yeah,
you couldn't
it's like,
attach
how does
it
it
to
affect
anything.
Yeah, you just would hook it on the side or something. I don't know.
Put it there.
I remember in this scene, I just kept.
You're just asking for random shit.
Yeah, I was like, "Give me the humdinger," and she was like, "I was like,
Humdinger
give me
check.
give it a up," and she's like, "Which one's that?" I was like, "The curly one."
Duh.
But it was just utter nonsense.
Because it was MOS, but I wanted them to be talking and interacting. So that's a
Big
really
screen.
Funny.
There's video assist.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of a funny joke. Not,
No, that didn't work.
Yeah, well.
That's all for that.
dude. Man, look at us. Oh, wow.
This is really elaborate too. Danny's standing right in the door frame on the left on a ladder with the
Oh.
boom holding it right over.
Oh,
it.
that's
That's
right.
right.
And then the camera has to be just low enough to where you don't see the reflection
I
behind.
think I
us.
blocked this out of my memory because it was so painful to hold it for any amount of time.
And we have the camera positioned just enough so the camera's blocking our reflection too.
Yeah.
So everything is right on the edge.
Reflections
on
were a key problem in this entire freaking film.
Right.
Like everywhere we shot, there was a stupid reflection we had to worry about.
Hey, don't vampires not have reflections or ghosts?
They don't. We should have hired a vampire
I
crew.
know.
Yeah.
Next time.
That would have made it so much easier.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you just, all they
people
want is
wearing
blood.
capes.
And we'll just house some of that. It can't be
So
hard.
is this an actual recipe?
Oh,
I gotta stop doing dinner scenes too, because they're really hard to choreograph with the quantities of food and repeat
Yeah.
takes.
I think this is the most polished scene that I lit, and not in terms of like my favorite lit scene, but like the one that looks the most professional.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very balanced. It's
It feels realistic and it looks good.
Yeah.
right.
I guess I should. Yeah, I was kind of like figuring out how
Well,
to
it's
do
also kind of warmer
cinematography
than some of the others.
with this movie.
We're still on schedule to watch New Year's Eve. I think that's the best time to get away with a loud bang.
I cut some out
Yeah,
of
we're
this
not
scene
at a
too.
big party.
I think overall I ended up cutting almost 20 minutes out of the whole movie, which is a lot. 'Cause
Yeah,
you sort of get
it's a
into
pretty big chunk.
when you spend like a year writing something and you're about to go into production, you feel like you're going in with the script like it can't be any other way. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of like retroactively like going and taking 20 whole minutes out of it just seems absurd.
Still have to paint that. More colors now.
I guess that's one of the things I realized doing this production is how much like kind of really experiencing it as a whole and how
You
I
can't
mean, it
ever
seems
predict.
obvious the production is a key part, but how much that can really affect the actual story too, and like how things
Yeah.
end up being shot, how everything ends up happening, and how that contributes to the overall movie.
It's like playing Tetris, I think, because the more you start doing stuff, the more you lose control, and there's a few
I think
lucky
really
parts.
the main thing about being a filmmaker, not that I am someone you should listen to, but it's really all it is just thinking on your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking on
Like
its own.
something
Well,
goes
that's
wrong,
why-
problem solving. That's it. Like, you know, you got to be quick.
No,
and-
it's true, and that's why the best thing you can do to learn how to make movies is just to do them. Like,
Mhm.
I hate people that try to like go into something with a really specific sort of.
It'll never work like
Right,
that.
you can't-
No
you
matter
can't-
how much planning you do, you're gonna have the point like, all right, this isn't working.
It's
What
not
can
about
we do?
planning; it's about experience.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
let's rework how we can do this as quickly as possible.
Right.
I'm on your side. I
Yeah,
don't think it-
there's a. Evan did a really good job of thinking on his feet.
Definitely.
There was a light that fell,
Yeah,
and
that was probably like the low point.
Yeah.
'Cause it was a long day and it was really late.
there was a light that
It hit,
fell 25 feet from the air, and
Yeah.
well, it was on a stand that was 25 feet up, and it tipped over. And the first thing that Evan did was, I forgot what he did, but he didn't
Well,
make
it
a
flipped
fuss
the
at
breaker,
all.
so we had to go.
So we
had to
the
take
first
care
thing
of
we
it.
did was just fix it. We fixed the problem. Like we didn't yell at each other, or Evan didn't yell at me. He could have.
We were almost
It was
about
very
to
tense.
start. We were about
Yeah.
to start shooting a really cold scene. It's the proposal scene. It's
Yeah.
right after this. And it was like the last scene of the night. It's probably like midnight or something, and it's really cold. We're all really tense at the last scene. We're just trying to get it done.
Yeah, and then
And that happened.
But it
But
was.
we just had to push through. And it's actually there's a really nice moment in some of the behind the scenes stuff, which
Oh,
I feel
wow.
okay kind of referencing since this will be on the DVD with
Yeah.
it. But where Danny and me and Cindy are sitting by the fireplace talking about it, waiting for the hot tub to warm up because we were gonna go and try and
Yeah.
like as a release go like
We would always go to
2
the
o'clock
hot
in the
tub.
morning go into the hot tub. But it's funny because we're talking about how like there's no way the light's okay because we basically just put it to the side and just didn't worry about it. Like this day, like
It
the
was-
bulb just it
it
had to
was-
have shattered. There's no way that light's broken. And the funny thing is that actually the light's fine except for the casing got bent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
It actually
immediately
still
discarded it.
Yeah.
So we didn't check.
I mean, why?
Well,
would
no, the
you-
next
it
morning,
just fell
the
25
next day
feet.
we checked.
It was a really bad fall, and it made a really bad noise.
Well, it was on one of those giant light stands. Like it,
Yeah,
like,
I
the
bought-
big thing was like if somebody was around, I could have killed somebody. for
No,
falling
it's like
somebody.
really, really pretty awful. I felt pretty bad. I'll never ever forget it. It pretty much scarred me for life. I mean, I knew that it was dangerous in the first place, but just that one stupid slip up because I
Yeah.
was getting tired and wasn't paying attention.
Well, I mean, it's worth noting the circumstances too that we were,
16-hour days.
right.
But still, well,
Yeah.
I was the only person lighting, so I guess I was going to say, well, like a big crew works long hours, but it's usually not just one person lighting.
Right.
Yeah.
Usually they have some more
Right.
checks and balances.
And everyone's kind of doing,
Yeah, everybody's watching each other's stuff.
But
But like,
Yeah, often the
since-
setups would be like me and Danny figuring out like lighting and positioning of the camera
Yeah.
and stuff, and then like everybody be inside like staying
Yeah.
warm until the absolute last moment.
Yeah.
I had to call them out.
Yeah.
Like I lit the scene by myself while everyone else was shooting a different scene.
I actually remember being like, I wasn't used to not being like, you know, rigging up C-stands, and like I was watching y'all from like upstairs. I was kind of like jealous. Not jealous, but like I was like, I missed that. Like, and I was
Well, it's
just
funny
up there.
because that, like obviously you don't want to be out in like the wet and muddy
Right.
cold, and so like everybody would always be in the game room.
I
like
just felt like a
well,
jerk.
Well, no, I mean it was appropriate because you guys were actors and you're out, you know, looking over your lines and practicing. It was always just kind of funny because we'd just be out there like setting up and everybody else.
I
just
felt like
kinda,
a pirate.
It felt like everyone was dreading me coming in and thinking, all right, we gotta go out and shoot now.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was like causing so much discomfort.
I remember they would ask me a lot, do you know how long do you think it'll be till we go? And I'd always say probably an hour. Just because that's, I mean, honestly.
That's a good
Yeah,
answer,
like I wouldn't want to get their hopes
That's
up.
pretty realistic.
Yeah. It was
I
always
like, just get comfortable.
Evan
I was
would,
actually pretty impressed that we managed to stick to the schedule pretty well though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we
really-
really
Like
did.
there were only a couple of days where we went over by like 2 hours or so, and some days
Wasn't
we shot
often.
Yeah, we usually would compensate in some way. So if we were
Yeah.
falling behind, we would shoot something faster or whatever. But I think overall we really stuck.
it
to
was
our
always a
schedule.
race. Like Evan I'd set up a scene, and then I'd rush to the next scene to light it for Evan.
Yeah, there
Like
would
I
be
was
great
always trying to beat him.
overlap. Yeah.
And Evan didn't wait. He didn't wait at all, which is okay, I guess, because we needed to finish the film. But that was
Well,
kind
that's
of funny.
I
how
mean
that
that's one of the
worked.
things. We were shooting a feature film in 13 days, which is really fast.
Yeah.
I kind of had to light these scenes blindly for the most part. Like there were no stand-ins actually for the.
This scene's lit real
Yeah.
well. I like how this scene's.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked out.
When it's like freezing cold outside and Kimmer's got wet hair and he's like in shorts.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. It must have been. It doesn't look as miserable as it really felt.
Right, you really can't get the full.
Like it looks
sensation.
warm and fuzzy and nice actually.
Well,
It does.
I remember like Cindy was like shivering between takes, and then she like make herself stop when we started recording.
Yeah. That's my baby. Look, I
almost
know. I just got out of a hot tub and I'm wet right now. I'm in shorts.
Yeah, in the hot tub.
Is that why you're doing this?
No, no.
But it's sort of interesting too, because
Just hold on. I'm sorry.
I feel like everything really does reflect the kind of production it was. Like even a lot of the shot choices and stuff, and that the use of like shooting most scenes wide and not getting a lot of coverage. I mean, the final product is so much a product of the production itself.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all in tune with itself. It really, yeah. I mean, I guess I have to see the making of to really understand
Yeah.
and see, or they
So
should.
like here, like if I had the camera set up a certain way, I'd usually keep it that way the whole scene. Like some scenes I would shoot all on over the shoulder. Some scenes, like this
Don't worry, I'm not leaving.
was all on the tripod. This is ridiculous. Everybody's going to the bathroom during the commentary. Oh, you're getting cooked.
Yeah.
I thought
I know, I laughed.
I have to go to bed.
I felt bad.
I feel like I need to go take a break.
I'm exhausted.
This movie's too long. But yeah, this is funny because this is a really awkward moment where you're taking a really long time to duct tape the rings together.
How about
and the
this
actual
audio?
take is almost like 3 times longer. And
Yeah.
cut it down. It's like it's still so awkward and long in the movie, and it's
I couldn't get it on her finger too. She kept being like, "You do it like this," and I was just like a caveman, like just like
camera's not very.
I was just trying to just like, no, I'm not,
At the same time.
because you know.
That was a weird prop too. I had to get some prop rings from my mom that were like kind of cheaper rings that were okay for us to use. Like she had some good fake ones. That
Oh, and we genuinely did lose the ring in the hot tub at one point.
Oh,
well, we got
You,
it.
you remember that?
Yeah.
We had to. I put my goggles to
Had to really
use
go
and
get it.
really found it.
and you got to be warm
Yeah.
But it is kind of
for
funny.
a few
like,
moments. You're safe under the
like
water.
from any
Yeah.
kind of like logical or professional or like safety point of view, how many like rules we just break every day.
Oh,
Like,
constantly. It's like we were
Like
intentionally breaking
thinking
all
of how,
them.
but the funny thing is like how everything worked out okay,
Well-
and also how in a lot of situations
It's together.
things were like thought out and they were relatively safe. Like
Shane
putting
almost,
the shot.
we almost
like,
died putting that spaceship up, by the way.
we did and we didn't though. Like
Yeah. Well, we didn't die.
like it
So-
was. We had a process and we followed it and it worked, but it was also it just seemed.
It barely worked.
No, but it
Like,
did,
I
though.
don't know. I did work. Yeah, you're right. We triumphed.
Yeah. Like I didn't feel like there was ever really that putting the top on the ship was definitely the
Technically stepsister.
probably the worst, the most frightening situation. But it was also I had a certain confidence in it because I felt like we had thought it out and we.
Yeah, we had that like.
But
we
then
had a
we had,
system.
like,
but
8
actually,
guys on
it
it.
didn't
It did
work
kind of.
out.
At one point, I had to switch ladders.
Yeah.
While we
Yeah.
were putting it up.
And then
But we
Well,
kinda
and
did
Shane's
it.
ladder was sinking in the mud.
and
at
then
one
the
point.
safety wires didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked and it kind of
Well,
didn't.
it never fell, so we never had to use the safety wires.
Right.
They weren't supposed to be pulling the weight up. They were just
Well,
there
yeah,
in case
but-
it fell.
I think the fact that we realized like if we did lose control,
We had
someone
a-
be decapitated. We had some adrenaline going, and we got it up there.
Yeah.
I think- I don't
Shane
know.
started screaming because one of his ladder was falling.
It was
Yeah,
sinking
and
in the mud,
there's
yeah.
nothing any of us could
No.
do. I was just like,
There weren't
well,
enough people.
That was the worst point.
I was like-
I was inside. I was just holding it. I was like, all right, move it. I'll hold it.
it was like listening to like seeing someone drowning and you can't go get him. I was like, oh man, he's on his own now.
Oh man! But we were all like, we were all trying to help each other. we
Yeah.
all like were trying really hard.
And then when it was up, it was so like gratifying because we
Yeah.
didn't do that till the second leg. We spent so much time.
It
with
was
the-
beautiful.
with the ship in different sections
Yeah,
and
it was so great.
never all the way together. And like we were all like shocked by how big it actually was.
Yeah, it was very rewarding.
Yeah.
Party scene.
Yeah. This was a fun shot too. We had to do
Yeah.
this like 8 different times. You had
Yeah.
to walk up the stairs backwards with the
It was
steady
so
cam.
cool.
I really like this song too. It's one of my favorite songs that Ben did.
Party scenes are fun to do.
Yeah, the party scene Kate was really good. Like you pulled off the vibe of a party
Well,
very
basically, I just put
seamlessly.
music on and had you guys have a party, and I just
Yeah.
walked around with the steady cam.
It just, like,
which
felt
was great
so
'cause
right.
It didn't seem forced.
Yeah.
And sometimes like it's too cliche, like party, and then
Right.
sometimes it's just kind of awkward.
Even though it's like a small party.
When it was
like-
nice because in the context of the production too, it was like this nice moment of release. It's really kind of laid back scene.
Yeah, we were shooting a
Mhm.
party.
You know,
it
it's in
kind
the
of was a
midst
party.
of like the upcoming like launch sequence and the moon scene, all
Yeah.
these big scenes. But here's this nice little moment where we're inside and we're just having fun.
Yeah, it was so exciting. Like filming some of this stuff. Like, oh, I just wish we could have like had more scenes like it.
awkward.
Yeah.
Not really a people person.
Well, that's one of the tricks too. Like with the feature film, like I feel like with this movie, I'm really bordering having almost too many montages in it. I do a lot of montages.
Oh yeah.
And, like those things are really fun for me to shoot, but
I don't know. I think some of these montages really translated well. Like they add.
I mean they're good, but I almost wonder if it's like too much. Like I'm almost compensating for not having enough content or something.
Well, I mean, if you look at it in terms of the plot, it's all about like kind of building something.
Right,
And
yeah.
you can't go step by step.
Yeah.
Spaceship?
Right. You have to speed it up.
What do you think it's supposed to do?
Yeah, I think I have this weird kind of
Real spaceship?
like obsession with people really dedicated to building something that doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's
that's a
kinda
great example.
Mirrors making movies.
Yeah, Krista Gerst, I like him in this scene. But when we started to do it, like we went up there and he saw the action, and he goes, "Wait, what are my lines?" And like we were the idiots.
Right.
And I remember I was like, I just really liked how he was like, "Why don't I know my lines?" Like. So I was like, I guess somebody needs to give him a
I
script.
really like that close-up shot of the drinks right there too.
Yeah.
Did anyone sample the Campari?
Oh,
That was a little reference to like to
Yeah.
Wes Anderson movies. He has Campari in several of his movies.
Campari is disgusting.
It's like
by
this
the
really
way.
It's really not.
pretentious drink.
Yeah. It's
Party
not,
scene.
not so tasty.
Nobody ever really
No.
wants to drink it.
So here's the party scene. I think like I really enjoyed.
This is one of those scenes where you have to be a really good editor too, because I
Yeah.
probably had 10 minutes of this in the
right.
first cut.
Being able to cut it
And
down.
it's like, all right, what's the most poignant little moments?
Mm-hmm.
And this really was kind of like a party, like you were
Yeah.
talking about earlier.
Well, it's sort of fun because you had to
Like that, you can tell was not. That was just us having a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like we had it. Well, yeah, none of this was directed. This was just like
It was a setup
a
situation.
couple of situations where I
Yeah.
didn't say
Where
like,
you were-
like I told her like stroke your hair right there or something, but that was about it.
Yeah, we were having like an actual
It was
conversation.
almost it was more like a photo shoot kind of thing.
This was one of the only moments I actually had written in the script, is him like playing with the fire.
I think I did keep laughing about your hair, Danny, because you were
Oh,
in
man.
that. And
Yeah.
I think
Gerald
wasn't I
Gravy.
Gerald Hayden? That's
Yeah.
where
Gerald
Gerald
Gravy.
Yeah.
Gerald Gravy.
Originally Gerald R. Gravy.
character
yeah.
was born out of this movie.
And your
actually.
hair was like matted
He was like a
down,
slick,
gelled,
like,
and you
salesman.
looked
Yeah.
just so. I just couldn't stop.
I just
it.
wanted to be someone disgusting for the party.
Mission accomplished.
Yes.
I thought it would be fun too to have the crew have a moment where they could kind of be in the movie.
Yeah,
like that
that's
too.
great.
Mhm.
I'm really excited that I'm in it.
We're actually magic.
In this scene, I was a little worried about. I felt kind of ballsy the way I was shooting it, but I
Oh,
think
really?
it turned out exactly how I wanted it to.
I think it's.
I was really worried that it was going to be really kind of weird the way I shot it, but I think it works well. I guess it was just very impulsive.
We also, a lot of stuff, we rely on fireworks, which would never really,
Yeah.
you never know.
So we're gonna save the big one for last?
This one?
I like the repetition of the fireworks throughout the movie.
Yeah. Well, I like how that plays into how the sort of the motif of the taking
Yeah.
off and the launching
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
and the explosion.
I genuinely like
It
explosions
sort of builds
too.
up this idea that maybe the ship is going to explode or something, like,
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
and the motion's building up and
It works
exploding
really
in the
well
moon
as like
scene.
a
What do you need
metaphor.
room for?
It also works out well practically for if you're trying to think, all right, well, this guy can't seriously be trying to launch a ship. Like, how is he going to even?
Neil's an idiot.
How's he going to propel the ship? Really?
He's autistic.
It's like the idea that he stuffs it
he
with fireworks.
hints at it if you pay attention. I'm not a people person, you know. Then this scene tries like, are you speaking in metaphors? No.
I don't think you really know what
he,
autism is.
or Asperger's or something.
Mild case of Asperger's syndrome.
Because it's either that or he's just kind of stupid.
His whale tie. That's another clue.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
You can't get that whale tie off of me. He loves it.
He's just
Yeah.
quirky.
yeah,
That's the indie term.
His favorite.
He's
exactly.
He's just weird for weird's sake.
He's a little different. He doesn't play by the real rule. You know? Oh man.
He's kind of out there, just like you. That's how he should have marketed this.
Yeah.
He's an everyman.
And he's got Asperger's.
There's
And
just
the
a lot of
tone in the
cuts of
trailer
him
just
staring.
changes. It's like, oh.
Just lots of cuts of Neil staring
Actually,
at
there
things.
was a movie that came out last year, an indie film, about a guy with, I think it was Asperger's,
Oh yeah.
who had this obsession with space, like wore a spacesuit and stuff. I was like,
Whoa.
this is kind of weird.
Oh man.
But it was like a
told
love.
you.
It was like a cliche indie love story.
Neil has Asperger's. In my head, I see it as
I didn't know this.
This was kind of a fun shot because the camera's actually outside on the
Yeah.
other
Oh,
side
yeah.
of the window. The
Doesn't
sound
look-
guy and I'm outside and everybody else is inside doing the scene.
Yeah.
I'm just watching it, hoping the audio sounds right.
Oh, remember that damn thing kept moving? Like,
Yeah, 'cause
it
the
took
air would come
forever
on.
to stop it.
We
Too.
would actually have to go in and hold the planet
Yeah.
to make them stop.
We'd all be like holding one of them, just like waiting. Like,
Yeah,
It's like
all
if,
of
some-
this
if I just like walk in and give them a direction or walk out, the
Yeah.
wind from me moving
Yeah.
would make them move.
All those planets on the roof had been deflated, and so we had to. Well, except for Uranus, I think that one just.
That one had a hole in it, so we just left
Yeah,
it.
that's the
as, like,
deflated one that
that
looks like a hat.
Yeah.
hanging
For the
there.
people who don't know what Uranus looks like, could you point it out? Because you
The
guys
one right-
are like,
the one next to your head that's not big and orange.
the one that looks like a golden witch hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny too, because these are all just taped to the ceiling with blue tape, but you never see the ceilings.
Yeah.
They'd actually fall sometimes because it's just painter's tape. That was basically the big challenge from a production design point of view, was trying to make this house look lived in when it was really a brand new house that was really clean
What,
and
what
minimalist.
were we looking at when this was going on?
It was actually TV. I was standing in front of the
Oh,
TV,
neat.
but it wasn't the actual ball drop. It was just something
Oh.
flashing, so it had the light.
Oh, I can see the light. Nope, never mind. Yeah. That's
You're
true.
standing worn out from working too hard.
You bought me a big steak for the wrap dinner.
And you were really happy about
Oh,
that. I really liked how
I-
satisfied you
It
were.
was great. I
It's like I'm glad that's all it took.
earned it. That was it.
I really love this launch song coming up. One thing, sort of from a sound design point of view, that I sort of regret in retrospect is not having enough like sound effects during musical montages. Like for this scene, for the most part, except for when the fireworks go
Oh, yeah.
off, it's just music playing and you don't hear any
Right.
atmosphere of drawers opening or stuff like that. Which, when you watch most movies, they have that in there.
Yeah.
So it's
I
more of a
think
kind of music video.
It would be great to have the option, I guess.
But yeah, in reality, I'm not really qualified to put that stuff in there either.
No, yeah.
It's such a
It's
whole
a big
nother
task.
element.
Surprisingly, it's a huge task to
Yeah.
make good, accurate sounding sound.
I mean, I did a lot of Foley for stuff that just had to have it, like
I don't know.
him washing his hands.
It
and
sounds
stuff, but
really tricky to me. I just don't.
You just don't really think about how much there really is in it.
Yeah,
until you start working on it, and then
There are layers of layers of layers of sound that you need.
The moon scene.
I would get into it, and like later in production, I get the
Yeah.
rough cut, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna start doing sound. I just never really was prepared for how much work I had cut out for myself. I sort of feel bad for how long it took me to finish this movie.
The moon scene is a really exciting aspect of this movie. Like,
It's what the whole movie's built on, really.
Yeah.
It's the reason I wanted to. This was originally a short film, and
yeah, we made a moon scene during a short film. We liked it a lot. There's
basically it was the idea that, and like I was talking about earlier in the commentary, how this whole movie's built on sort of drama and comedy overlapping, and sort of making the audience feel inappropriate when they want to laugh at something. And that's what the
I
idea
love
of
that
the moon
feeling
scene is
in
about.
general. I do.
Well, that's what the moon scene's all about, and so I built the movie kind of backwards.
yeah,
from
I would
that.
laugh at a lot of it, but I would feel really
Yeah.
sad at certain points.
That's what
The moon scene
and
is-
actually. I don't know if you remember Adam Jones, Danny.
Yeah, I remember Adam.
I remember once when I finished the short film, I sent him a copy, and I was talking to him on the phone about it. And he was just telling me how much he liked that part of that scene, and I think that's what really planted that. I never really thought about it that way. Like that's what sort of planted the seed in my head that this was something worth doing again
Yeah.
and sort of exploring.
Well, it's
that
like, and then
idea
we
more.
we all like. It's almost like we reinvented that scene, but more towards really what we thought of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, 'cause
I really liked how it turned out, and it's kind of campy and cartoony, but then also there's a lot of like emotion there.
Yeah.
no, yeah, it's It's just there's a lot happening.
Well, there's a lot
Like,
built up. Another thing too is I really like.
He's meeting his dad, and it's funny because he's so corny, but it's so
Right.
pathetic and sad
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's like that's all he has to go on. It's,
Actually went back and shot some shots like 6 months later of like fireworks coming out of the
Oh.
bottom of the ship and stuff like that. Inserted in there.
that was really,
We actually kept the ship. The ship's in my parents' yard, so it's there permanently.
yeah.
But no, the one thing I also really like, in general, I think it's interesting when you have a character in a movie that you hear about throughout the whole movie and you don't meet him till the end. And sort of that's what the dad character is for me. It's
Yeah.
like this character you allude to, and then you finally get to see him, and there's sort of a weird moment. for the
Yeah,
audience.
it's kind of like similar to Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, well, yeah.
where
Yeah,
he
that's sort of the
hurts.
ultimate example of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you just know instinctually, like even if you hadn't seen this movie, this is a pretty
Important scene.
yeah, and like I don't know, like just something about how excited we were, I think really translates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could really tell we
Well, it's the artsy
needed
scene
to make
too.
this
Like
scene.
it really, it's
And then there's
it's
a
the
lot of-
release for the movie, and
yeah.
it's also the release for us.
Yeah,
making
it's
it.
When
like
they
an-
were running around with those smoke bombs and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm cutting this really funny sequence together of me rolling and then Shane lighting
Yeah.
fireworks and running out of the
Yeah.
shot. And there's like a
It's
lot of
really
that.
kind of like a huge privilege to be able to like shoot this scene.
Yeah.
Just from like a life standpoint, like I did this in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I got to do
You look
this.
at this and you're just like, that was weird. You know?
Yeah,
That was a
man.
weird night.
We appreciate it.
I just remember being really happy we were out of the backyard. I do.
Out of the garage and
Yeah,
out of the
I was
backyard,
really
yeah.
excited that we were up to like the side yard.
These weird props to interact with. Well, it's funny too, I think, because this is one of those scenes that, like, on a slightly higher level or bigger production, it would be a much more elaborate scene to shoot. But we just use, over the counter fireworks and
Yeah.
make it work for us. We don't have any special rigging or. I always kind of appreciate that when we can do something in a really basic way and still pull off the same effect. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
From
rough
an
around
art
the
direction
edges.
standpoint, no, I think it works all within itself.
Yeah.
I don't think it feels like we
Also,
forced anything.
I really love that light in the background. It's like a
Yeah.
stationary light, but it's like a star or something.
Yeah.
The actual moon that he's not really on. And it was great too, because since the Space Dad had the helmet on, the audio didn't have to match with him, so I was free to move the audio around
Yeah,
for his
that
character
really helped.
and kind of use the better visual element. I only had to worry about syncing you, but it's the best freedom, both for shooting and for editing,
Yeah.
this scene was like ultimate because it's a dream, so you can just
Yeah,
you can fuck it
right.
up. You can do whatever you want.
I always thought that. Oh, that's a great shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really catches you off guard.
I know.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was like, wait.
Well, it's such a departure from the style of the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I think this is more true to the kind of stuff I want to do. with
Yeah, I
movies.
think this you could start to see where you want to go.
Like in the earlier stuff, I feel like it's more apparent that I'm trying to sort of mimic things I like
Yeah, you
Wes
kinda
Anderson
hit
movies and stuff like
a-
that, and I'm trying to.
Yeah.
But here, I feel like I'm being a little more true to it.
Yeah, I think you were being more true to yourself. I mean, you had the. This is really what it was. A big part of the movie was for.
I mean, I did want the scene to have that impact where it feels different, and so, but having like an hour and a half of movie before this that's something totally different is a little
Yeah.
extreme, I think.
It's-
But I think Kimmer's performance here is great too.
Yeah, it's definitely goes way in between humor and serious or humor and
Yeah, it switches gears pretty quickly.
yeah, it does. Right.
Because I think genuinely it starts to get annoying. Like, what the
What don't do
Well, you
something.
never get this
That's-
emotional release from Neil. This
Yeah,
whole time.
that's
like,
what-
you start to feel like he's almost a despicable character. You don't really know what he's about. And this scene, unfortunately, it's only in his head, so nobody around him gets to experience
I
this
know
catharsis.
you really want to release after.
But here you get at least kind of see what maybe he's all about, and the idea that he's thinking about his dad still sort of makes that a lot more relevant than it has been in the rest of the film.
Yeah.
It was definitely the first, probably, quote unquote, dramatic scene ever.
Yeah.
And I like that we didn't really shoot the movie in order, but this was towards very close to the end of the production. And sort of being able to sort of see Kemer evolve as an actor too. Like kind of we see you and all the subtle stuff, and I was
Yeah, we
Frank,
were
I
all-
was a little worried. I wasn't sure how this was gonna.
We
end
were
up.
all growing as this.
And I think Kemer
Like every day we
really pulls off the sincerity here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't want to ruin the movie. I knew, I knew you had to be, kind of nervous.
I love that part too. But you still hear his voice, and it's just his face looking
Yeah.
around. And this song, this little sonata that Ben did, is perfect. The temp track I had in here was Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven.
I look how comfortable I got with fire. I don't flinch. Even when I get put out, don't blink.
You should. You'll see the first take and the making up. We leave him a little too long. You shake him. In the
Yeah,
right where it does.
I flail. That's what you can't do.
Adult now, Dad, and I wish, sometimes I wish I could be
I like that.
human.
Looking at his dad, it's kind of like looking into the abyss. or
Right, because he's
something.
just this empty figure.
It's
You
just
don't see a
this black
face.
hole you're looking into, and there's nothing there.
Well, that's the thing that's like this idea of this character rather than a real character. It's just this.
Yeah, that's what's. I don't know. It's really
He's like
disturbing
mimicking
and
this thing. yeah.
enigmatic. And it's-
Dad, you can't leave. I don't know what to do.
It's sort of cool too how organic this set was too. Like that, one of the things caught on
Yeah.
fire until I just had Shane come over and run around it, and as it was burning, it's like I remember he was totally confused. He didn't know what I was shooting because this is basically the only. This was the first thing he was in because he plays your office
yeah.
coworker. But we shot that last, so it's this is the first thing he comes in on the production, and we're running around. It's just run by this.
They're like, what do you not
Just
understand?
insanity.
But yeah, that cough, your cough was great. Thanks.
The
Fire
wheeze.
extinguisher.
Man.
See, it doesn't work.
Is he okay?
I'm okay.
I like how picturesque the spaceship seems to fall into. I think it's
Yeah.
Dominoes.
a very elegant fall.
But it did.
What exactly happened?
I did it.
Did what?
Went to the moon.
I think in general, probably most people don't really think that way, but I think most movies, there's a large percentage of things that just It's how they end up happening, and that's how they're in there, and people get credit for them as being things that are thought out in advance.
Yeah.
I think people in general think of movies as being meticulously thought out.
No,
Everything that
right.
happens was planned. But
It's like,
Right.
Kubrick, the
the
master.
more I make, the more I think I feel like I can relate to like Kubrick and think that
Yeah.
he's just out there doing it, and this is what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not
you
like
can
he-
find
He's not the
symbolism
genius in
and
that he's planning this out to the T, and everybody's
Yeah.
just doing what he says.
like you could give me Con Air, and I could be like, oh, you see why what this means. It's
Yeah.
this,
No, it's
Nicolas Cage
totally backwards to think of
performance
it like
mirrors,
that. Yeah.
Winston Churchill's stance on. Yeah, it's like
You set
come
out
on.
on an idea and you.
Yeah, the more I think about it, and it makes me want to make more because it sort of
Yeah.
lowers the barrier for entry. Because it's just like, no, you just got to go out and make
You
something.
have to go out and
Just try
apply your idea. What's the quote you said before? Apply.
Oh, in making
You
apply
said-
reality and accept the results.
Yeah, you go out making your idea, apply reality, and accept the results.
For those who don't know, the first semi-feature I made before this was a mockumentary about people making movies, basically making fun of ourselves.
Yeah.
We had this sort of idealist main character that was Danny. He was this.
Yeah, which was also based on when I made Awkward Olympics.
Right. Basically, the movie was an adaptation of the making of that I recorded of
Yeah.
the actual movie.
Bill, the actor, the lawyer, basically, I mentioned earlier, he got married a couple weeks ago, and so we found this really horrible, god-awful movie we made like years and years ago.
Play it the way.
And it was like, I didn't know I still had it. I found one of my old externals, and like I had to like rework the files. They're all damaged, but I got it, and it like I made like a fake like inside the actor's studio with them, and it's just like,
Oh.
what were we doing? Like the lines.
It's so bad.
It was just like, what the hell was I doing out there? Like, why did I do this?
It's like, I don't know.
And like, I could try to write like a mockumentary, but it could never be that
You
good.
can't write it out, right?
Because you
Well,
can't
and
make
in some
it
ways,
something
making
genuinely
up wasn't
bad.
as good as the behind the scenes that
No.
are based on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Like I can never capture like the many things and
And there's just little
so
things,
funny,
you know,
man.
like the dirt on your butt right now, or the yellow residue from the fire extinguisher. Those aren't things that are planned out, and it makes your costume work better.
yeah, absolutely.
I really, really love it. This is basically a tribute to Joan Baez's song "Here's to You," which is what I had as the tip track in here. And I basically told Ben this is the song I'm gonna have the most trouble detaching myself from, and so
I really thought I could do this.
he really made it. And we actually the first shot I decided to use there was the shot where you hit it and it doesn't fly out of your hand, but you just kind of look at it and drop it.
Yeah.
And one of the very last changes I made to the movie was decide to put the one where it actually flies out of your hand. It's just a little funnier.
glorious.
I really like the credits. How'd you do
Yeah,
that?
the credits.
It's just an overlay. So I
Of your
took
notes,
scans
yeah.
of notes and script notes and drawings, production design stuff, and
It's really cool.
I scanned those and just put them over the.
Oh, there's me.
And that's a
My
drawing
one-
that Danny did over. It says
Oh.
in the sea I am free.
I like Sorry They Are Late.
Yeah, well, that's Ben sent me actually.
Oh yeah, I
if you look
totally
at the,
understood that. I knew it. It must have been the soundtrack.
No, it actually
what?
wasn't. It's nothing to do with the music
What?
at all. He
Oh.
sent
I thought the soundtrack was
one of
late.
the props in the movie inside the spaceship. There's a shot where Kimmer's playing with these ink cartridges. Ben actually sent those to me from his work. He had all these spare ink cartridges. Like, I think maybe you could use these in the spaceship. And so he sent them to me, but he sent them to me late. And so he had this little note that was like a torn out magazine page that had like these tigers on it. He said, sorry, these are late. I was like, that's perfect. That's gonna be his credit shot.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And
I
these
would
are
have never
Maggie's.
guessed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maggie's production design drawings. I
We're
got
all
those.
boom operators at one point.
Pyrotechnics.
I give myself a lot of credits.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. You don't lie about it.
Yeah.
You did all that.
It was actually a big conundrum. I didn't know how far I should go with it.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
Yeah, I mean,
but I was like, I feel like I did a lot. I really wanted
Rocket
people to know
builders.
that we actually did all these jobs. You know, we actually painted the ship.
Yeah, we did it.
That's a credit you could maybe leave out, but I wanted to say.
No, I think I like. I'm glad that people know.
I can't believe I got credit for the construction because all I did
You
was
were there
like
on that
hold
first
measuring
day.
tape.
We dug those holes.
Yeah.
Instead of giving everyone a stupid
Yeah, they did
associate
take a
producer
while.
credits, you gave them real credits. The best thing about babies. What's BNN?
Barnes and Noble, Bed Bath and
Oh.
Beyond, Cyport Discovery Center.
Oh, the secret is
Sneaky.
Places
revealed.
that we went to. without
None of
them
us,
knowing.
no one was harmed or paid during the making of this film.
No, just mentally, but
No one. Oh,
And that's like the one.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's great.
Really nice
I was really
pre-production painting I did.
Yeah.
That's pretty accurate, I think, to what we ended up with.
Feels very nostalgic.
Yes, it does.
That's a great song. I love
It's
that
like
song.
unearthing an old memory.
So this is the point where we choose to talk for another 5 minutes over Black, or to just stop it.
Well,
It depends on how interesting people think we are.
I hope they.
They
well,
probably already quit.
Yeah, they probably have.
They're not in the room right now.
No, nobody watches the comic. Who wants to
Yeah,
watch the
who-
comic?
what-
This is just for us to
yeah.
listen to. Like
This is
2 years later, we go back.
Yeah.
Hey, future Danny.
Anything I can hear myself talk.
It's really just
listen to myself.
self-indulgence right now. This is just us. I mean, it's been 14 months since we made the movie. We don't remember what happened. We don't have any interesting tidbits. We're just
No.
indulging in this.
Mm-hmm.
Just loving ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna stop on that note.
All right.